I go there with to visit my sister-in-law. I was glad I could walk out.
In our confrontation in Idaho with sheriff's department, highway patrol, and fish and game. And then they didn't pull their guns, but when I took the Fort Livingston a couple months.
A rebel.
Hey, with the call. A peculiar person?
So, what's that?
A peculiar person.
Yeah, there you go. So, what we generally do here, we try to, we give out a lot of information, but we don't expect you to take it for fact. What we want you to do is we're going to give you the places to go to find the information for yourself. We don't try to teach you anything here. We just try to show you where to go to find the right information, and then you can learn it for yourself. Okay, and if you're going to say, no, this isn't the way it is, well, then you read it yourself. So you didn't hear it from me.
Yeah.
So generally we give out a lot of websites and things for people to look up different things. One of the things I generally talk about a lot in the meetings is the CAFR funds. Okay, if any of you know anything about the CAFR, it's a comprehensive annual financial reports that all the corporations have to fill out each year. And all these government corporations fill these out. And the best place to go for that is to go on CAFR1.com. And there's a guy on there by the name of Walter Burian. And he's, and if you would, take notes and stuff, because we're going to be putting out a lot of information, and you will forget probably 99% of it by the time you leave here. So
is that CA or
CAFR 1. It's CAFR1.com, and there's a DVD on there that you can listen to on there. We can give you one of these before you go. It's called The Biggest Game in Town. That Walter Burian is on there. I don't know if he's upgraded this one, because this has been several years ago that he put this one out. And you can take one of these, with you when you go. And there's several other ones here too. Corporation Nation is another one. Talks about the United States corporations and stuff. Since the government of the United States is made up of in excess of 185,000 different corporations. And so basically the government is for profit. It's not supposed to be in competition with the people, but it is for profit. And so that's what we're dealing with, and that's kind of what we talk about here. So, but one of the things that I like to talk to people about is the, what do I call it now? I forgot it again. Man.
Oh, hierarchy of man.
Hierarchy of man, yeah, there you go. The hierarchy of man. And does everybody here know what the hierarchy of man is? Okay. We're all man. Everybody here is man. It's either man or woman. It's all the same, both genders. Okay, and what I like to do is show you how this works. What we have here is we have man. Okay, and in the hierarchy of man, the way we figure this is, how did man get here?
Created by God.
Exactly. Okay, all of us Christians feel that we are created by a higher power, or we're created by our Creator, which we call God. Okay, so God is over man. Okay, okay, now man, see, God created man, so God owns man. Okay, because whatever you create, you own, right? Okay, so man then creates, like it says here. We can go to a little document a lot of people don't read. It's called the Declaration of Independence. Okay, I didn't bring my glasses here either, but in the Declaration of Independence it says that all men are created equal.
That's right.
Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, that all men are created equal.
Nobody's better than anybody else.
Yeah, so everybody is equal. So say that, and this is what I try to get through to a lot of people, is that
just before the law only.
Pardon me?
We're not created equal otherwise, just before the law. We're equal before the law.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're still
We're created equal by God.
We're all created equal when we're placed on the earth. When we've been given domain over the earth, dominion of the earth, then all men are equal in God's eyes.
That's right.
In our Creator. So He created us equal, and so if one man can tell another man what they can and cannot do, then isn't it also equal? If you're both equal, then the other man can tell you what you can and cannot do. See, so we have to kind of be careful how we handle that. Okay, because whatever we tell somebody else, they can also tell us, because we're all on the same plane. Okay, and so so now to go on down a little bit further here, and it says that we have unalienable rights given to us by our Creator, and these are rights that nobody else can take away from us. Okay, and these rights, these rights, some of these rights is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, but that isn't all of the rights. There's a lot more rights than that. They're unalienable rights. You know, they cannot be, a lien cannot be placed upon them unless you give your consent. Okay, to say give those rights to somebody else. Okay, and so then it goes down here a little further, and it says that governments are instituted among men. Okay, so then what we have here is we have government down here. Okay, and that's below man. Okay, and this is the way the hierarchy works. Okay, so then man created government. So then man owns government. Okay, and so that's why in the Declaration of Independence it says that that men then that the government derives their power from man, from the people. Okay, so then we start getting into some of these other things here that we've talked about at a lot of the meetings, that where a lot of the codes and things are called laws. Okay, they introduce codes and they call these laws. Well, these are not laws. These are color of law. Okay, and there's a big difference. Okay, because a code and statutes and all of these things are basically their legislative rule of a society given the force of law within that society. Okay, or to those who wish to be governed by that society. Okay, and it's all written out in the Declaration of Independence. Now, I've done some research on this, and I found that about 1% of Americans have ever read the Declaration of Independence. Okay, and then furthermore, about 1% of them even understood what they said. So it's a very small percentage. See, and it's all pretty much spelled out in the Declaration of Independence. And a lot of people will feel that they have constitutional rights, for example. Well, we don't have constitutional rights. We have inalienable rights or unalienable rights. God-given rights. See, the Constitution, and it says in it that it was designed for the control of the government. It's to control the government. Okay. So now, and it also says that the power is derived from the people. Okay, that the government has. Then it's the consent of the people. They gain their power from the consent of the people. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have Ernie come up here, and he's going to tell you about a whole bunch of stuff that I have no clue. Or very little, okay, because we have talked a little while. So, but he's pretty sharp on a lot of this stuff, and he's basically going to give us a history lesson from what I understand. And but I just wanted you to understand that, you know, what the hierarchy of man is and how it actually works. And then because see, the government, then they'll come down here and they'll supposedly have laws. Okay, they'll introduce these laws, but these are color of laws. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass out some pages here that you can have, and it shows you what colors of law is. We've got plenty of them here. We can go ahead and just kind of pass them all around. Take one and just pass them around here. And that is one of the codes there, or that's two of the codes. That's United States codes. That's in Title 18, United States codes, and it's 241 and 242, and it tells you what color of law is. But if you start reading a lot of the codes and stuff, you'll find that a lot of them are really conflicting. They conflict with each other. And our system doesn't really want to recognize them either. They just want people to obey these codes when they don't apply to us. These codes apply to government officials. They don't apply to us as man. Thank you. So now I'm going to have Ernie come up here, and he's going to kind of tell you what he's got in plans here, and then after he's all done whipping up on you, then I'll come back and try again. Okay? Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Take this one out unless you're going to need that here.
No, sir.
You can use it and then go here. We'll get it when you get ready. You can just grab that.
Yes, sir. Very good. My name is Ernie Tertelgt. I have a nickname that you'll find in the Joel Boniek story that they call me Ernst the Impaler. That is a nickname that was kind of laid on me by a family because I have this odd characteristic of finding out the absolute truth and then sticking it right to the wall as it runs by me. And it's that sort of knowledge that enables one to begin to be able to seize courtrooms, as per the reason why I'm here in front of you guys tonight. I ain't no hero. I ain't no expert on anything. I'm 51 years old. I've had properties in Idaho and in Manhattan. I've jacked up big houses and caused them to be moved and put my family in them just to watch the bankers wriggle out of it through lying 3 years later by breaking their contracts and me being left powerless. You know, it's the same old story everybody's got. Ain't no different than the rest of you. I'm made out of flesh and blood and bone and a good old American temper like all you guys have got. And I am sick of being held captive. For years we've talked about freedom. For years we've revered our system without ever knowing that it's not our system. It does not represent you and I. It does not stand for us in any way of the imagination at all. It stands for a select little group of nobility. You'll find them. I have a whole table full over here of documents. Please, I want you guys to go get them and do it at break because you're going to want some of it to keep up with me as I go through stuff. Terms of art is one of the most powerful pieces of information. It is the way you bind the strong man. It is the hidden language of the court system, and it absolutely works. So I've brought that down. You will find a document called Inns of Court, INNS of Court. And you will read in there their own stuff where they begin in the 14th century. We'll be talking Masonic, Freemason. We'll be talking Vatican papacy terms. We'll be talking dates that exceed the Garden of Eden and the things that existed here in principality fashion of demonic hierarchy before Adam and Eve were injected into it. Things that had already gone to war against that which had created them, which you and I call God, and had made war on him and he on them. Things that never sinned against you and I. Okay, we weren't him. they fought against God. And it is this bunch that over the many centuries, okay, have brought this tremendous evil upon all peoples of the earth everywhere. We are not exclusive. There is no race on the face of the earth that is not tainted by this bunch that we're facing. I'll have to tell you, if you think we're going to eliminate them, that's completely wrong. They are death without ever dying. It is possible to capture the temporary host that appears as a human body that they're operating in temporarily, maybe 100 years if you look at some of them. But at the end, that host that appears as a Rockefeller, you name it, in the Illuminati's, you're looking at something that is older than time itself, because Rome is the one that came up with the idea of time so they could regulate the people of the land for power. It's demonic, we call it demonic, and it is what is empowering this evil. That's the generator. What powers the generator, the fuel of that generator, is our ignorance. How are you going to know your enemy if you can't identify him? Okay, and how are you going to be successful at war? How are you going to help anybody to win anything if you don't exactly know how to pinpoint the enemy? Like I said, I'm no expert on anything. I've just done a lot of research, really deep, places where I don't know if anybody's been there before. There's not very many footprints, I'll tell you that. Some of the stuff I've uncovered and come forward with, well, I don't think there's been proclamations like this since probably the time of Martin Luther, 1540, when he came out. And you have to remember, when you look at all these names of old, you think of Thomas Becket in 1112 A.D., who was murdered on Christmas Day of that year for pinpointing one of the demons that was a Pope Benjamin at that time, and he also bore another name called Roger upon Levay. Okay, and Becket said, you are the ius incitor maliciae. You are the cause of all this evil. Okay? These things are shapeshifters. They morph. They move like a quick spot of electricity. They'll travel through the electronic grid like the Matrix. They will inhabit stone. They will inhabit water. They will inhabit plant. They will inhabit the human body, which is their premium thing, and the reason why is because the human body affords them what they do not have. They get the 5 extrasensory perceptions of God's fullness, particularly the procreation ability to make more of their kind. From what I can research on them, they're maybe not very successful at it, and maybe it's by design. There's probably not more than 1 million of them that regulate the entire world. It's just a select little bunch. Okay, you'll find in the ends of court document, which I should just let you guys all go get it so you can be looking at this stuff while I talk. In fact, I'm going to have you do that. I really need you to, have the paperwork in hand. So you guys go on. I've got books up here that we brought down with us. I can't sell these, but they're $40 books, and before you lay the money out, you ought to know what the content is. So,
In political terms, but actually,
we're
Liber, which means book or freedom,
Yes,
and the
that's
freedom
right.
is in the book.
That's right. Yep.
That's where libraries come from.
Truth be known, all of us here should be Democrats,
Right,
and we are liberals.
right.
Because there ain't one of us here wants to be chained and anchored to what is called the Gibber monster
Right.
in Genesis 6:4.
Can you,
The Gibber monster, you see, is the many-fisted crusher destroyer of Rome, all right? And that is the judicial system that regulates Congress, regulates the states, and regulates us as a result. Okay? We want to be liberated from him.
right,
All right, well, you can't make him go away. But what you can is, with this kind of knowledge, you can capture that Gibber monster. All right, that's a Hebraic name for many-fisted crusher, destroy, cannibal, tyrant, bully in Genesis 6, verse 4. You can capture that thing if you're aware that he exists.
right.
All right, and when you capture their system through proper knowledge, and you realize you're not a fiction anymore, like the Gibber monster is going to try to tell you to get you to succumb, when you figure that out, then you can capture their system, their monster, turn him around, and he'll go to war against his handlers, which appears as the judicial system, to the forefence. Remember that word, the forefence of your title of nobility, which is your proper person name. Doesn't mean King John Smith, although it does. Under ecclesiastical law, we are all equal, kings and queens. That's it, according to ecclesiastical law declarations. I have no more value as a king than King John Smith, King Austin, Queen Linda. Same. We're all under one great king, all right? And the reason why I know that is so is A, not only what I fly under and carry in my heart, no, I've seen it have standing, okay, but it is because for a true offer of fraud to have standing, for right to exist, there has to be a wrong. Without it, how are you going to make a choice? If everything is white, a friend of mine I was talking to at coffee the other night at Flying J in Belgrade, he's an old farmer, he says, you know, he said, wrong has to exist, has to. You can't ever get rid of it. Because if you get rid of it, you're back to tyranny. Everything is one color. You have no choice. It is absolutely gone. This is part of the reason why you can never eliminate the demonic realm that is the driving force behind all this. They have to be there. It's necessary. Or there would be no word called choice. There would be no free will. You would never know anger. You would never know shame. You would never know fear. You would never know these things that have caused you to assemble here tonight. There has to be something that engineers what we like and don't like. There has to be reasons for it. The trick is, in righteous wrath against them, don't take it too personal. We're going to cover a word here in a minute called obligation. Obligation, well, I guess we ought to just cover it. Let me write it out. Let me get this professional eraser out here. We have been trained, hypnotized, and through the system of alchemical science, we have been turned into Aaron's golden calf. At the end of this whole process, we have become their goal. All right, now, we'll start out up here. Obligation. Ob equals hidden. You've all heard obscure. Okay, this is word work. When I do word work, because I'm not a very smart fellow, I do a lot of reference. I work with 6 sets of encyclopedias. When I go to war on a word and I go down the rabbit trail, I go right to the bottom of the hole, I find the rabbit, and I run right over top of him, and I leave tracks to prove that I was there. Okay? So I'm very careful about what I claim. And you also have to remember, even in more ancient history of the Anglo-Saxon language, which is the language of death, is that the first culture of purity on the face of the earth is known as the Etruscan culture. It supersedes ancient Babylon by about 8,000 years. There, at that time, was a group of people under a different name than we know them as now. They were called the Yehudi Diaspora, the desperate ones. Lawless, wild, cannibalistic, no form of control. Complete destroyers and consumers of everything, everywhere they went. Right here, sitting here tonight, that same little bunch appears as what people think are Jews. All right, remember what the King James talks about. This is very thin ice, and this is where people begin to back away because the race thing is going to come forward. I'll tell you right up that Jesus was a racist, and I'll take you through his words here in a little bit. It is all done under obligation. Ob officially means hidden in the Greek language. If you're going to fight the devil on his own term, called his own kingdom called Hades, you have to know his language while you're aware that his language is not his language. It is based on a language called Etruscan. All right, who had an excellent phonic system, an excellent alphabetical symbolized system. We can probably run it back, 14,000 years would be pretty accurate for the Etruscans. The Yehudi diaspora committed genocide. You know what that is? The elimination of the genes. The elimination of entire groups of people. When Clinton was in office, what was the big to-do over in Africa between the Hutus and the Tutsis? Remember that mess? How many people died? There was 1 million people that perished. When Bill Clinton had the means, he could have stopped that genocidal mess. You see it in Syria right now. All right, some of the same bunch that are called Zionists, more accurately, are in there. They're the appearance of the CIA, and they're ramping up trouble on both sides, laying accusations on both sides, financing and weaponizing everybody on every hand for mass murder, which is what they need to get their bloomin' God to come forward, because he is Mars, the god of war. March, Admiralty, Maritime Law, it all figures into astrology. So this is what happens to the Etruscans from these guys. They get genocide to the man. All right, now, the Yehudi diaspora, they take the alphabet of the Etruscans and they turn it around backwards and upside down. All their alphabetical symbols. This is what they did with the Etruscan language. They inverted it and they turned the symbols upside down. That became Greek. Okay. Greek, which by 1118 becomes, as the Germanic Anglo-Saxons take over Rome, what we call English, what we're speaking here tonight. Now, you're all common sense thinking people. What have I just written on here? What's the sum of that equation of mass murder? You and I are caught in a trap of speaking what? A bunch of sounds that have been turned into symbols that are based on what?
Genocide. Satan.
That's right. Why are we not able, as Mr. Miller has here, why are these laws not enforced? Can someone tell me why these laws are not enforced? Because everything is backwards and upside down. Here comes the rest of the word. Gate. This is critical information. This is why you're not winning. Obligate. It is a Holy Roman. I should put just to remind them what side I'm still on. Unholy Roman empirical order. Bearing mark and that is for to protect assassins of Rome is how we're going to put it, because they kill the value of the people. Assassins of Rome, or maybe I should write it that way, from is a better way, from Rome. Okay. Bearing mark and seal, which is the seal of whatever king is ruling at the moment, including tonight, as we're sitting here. Whoever the one world authority is, and remember Obama, about 3 months ago, succeeded in putting the Vatican under his foot. Okay? We're only 2 ticks off from having a full-blown Antichrist according to the prophecies in the King James. Just 2 ticks left. That's all there is. Okay? Unseal of whatever king of the moment. I gotta write this out for the camera's sake, and then I'll erase this and we'll do much more of the moment. Okay. We're on empirical order. It is a specific. Do you see what we got here? They're backwards and upside down on its head, based on Greek, based on Anglo-Saxon, called English, is obligate. They are under empirical order to conduct their judicial business in a manner that is reverse and inverse, and that is what obligate means. You guys know that this line right here, what symbol does that represent? That's a word right there. That simple line is a word. Do you know what it is? You cross it unless you're really wise when you go to court.
Yeah.
What do you have to cause through?
Bar.
That's right. Why do we herd livestock through?
Gate.
A gate. See the word gate? See the word lie? It's only missing the E. Why? Who knows? What are they? Liars and murderers all the way through, and every word has been twisted and tampered and misshapen and misspelled. It's had spellings and curses laid on the entire language. We don't know about it because it is all
Hidden.
and we speak their language of death, their curses upon us. We speak it for them because we don't know, because it's hidden. So when we go to court and we make pleadings, what pleads? What pleads? Why plead? You a beggar? Oh, by God, you're not a beggar. Why are you pleading on that high priest to death? That thing that's wearing a black robe and is a death angel and has no honor whatsoever. None. It is there to see to it you go through the rendition program. We'll cover that here. Have you got that good on the camera, ma'am?
I think so.
Okay. And do you feel like I'm good on the vocals here? I don't want to shove folks out of the place.
We'll find out.
Got to be heard.
So the power,
Okay.
the power is in the spoken word.
Power is in the spoken word. So just for the sake of the camera, we'll give that 2 seconds. And backwards. And remember, backwards equals retroactive. Now we're back before the Garden of Eden.
Another word for hidden is also occult.
Beautiful. Perfectly said. It's a total cult.
Occult
It is called
yeah.
the Roman cult Kyria. All right, and you can look this up in your encyclopedia. The Roman cult Kyria. The judges, the various layers of judges, not all judges being equal, okay, they have ranks and degrees because they're Freemason. Masonic in origin, the word free being attached to the penal colony of the 1750s that appeared as America. It was a penal colony, okay. Well, the various judges that are here are under Inns of Court. You have that document in your hands. I suggest you have a look at it. They are members of what is called the Inns of Court. The Inns of Court find their beginnings in history in the 14th century. Every certified member of the bar is a member of that document, Inns of Court. All right? Key piece of information to know. This is why we're failing at everything we try to do. A, we don't have full knowledge, and so we're like the dog that returns to his vomit, the hog that returns to the wallow, because we think that we have a roof that appears as, I'll show you what my Constitution looks like. It's not mine. I know now it wasn't written for me, and that ain't mine either. Who's that belong to?
Federal Reserve.
That's right. Oh, wait a minute. That belongs to Federal Reserve?
Right.
Well, I thought the national debt was yours.
The national debt of the creditor belongs
That's
to the
right.
debtors. They owe the creditors.
What do we got? 16 trillion, 200 trillion belongs to Ben Bernanke and Timothy Geithner. All right, this is what passes in my pocket. I carry it with me everywhere I go. not for the protection I once thought it all value of God in heaven above as a daughter or a son of the King of Kings. We'll get to that in another document that's in your hand in just a minute. Now, I want to read something to you here out of Article 1, Section 10, line 8. This is part of the things that are forbidden to the states to bring forward. Now, I've got to skip just tons here. It's really unfair to host quick meetings, me and Mr. Miller, because it takes years to figure this out. I hope you guys are way smarter than me and you get it like that, okay? If I can show enough high points to you, maybe we can speed it way up. Time is not on our side, although time may just about be ours forever here, judging by the looks of things, so maybe the battle's about over. Anyway, one of the things that is forbidden to the states to become involved in, Section 10 says, no state shall enter into any, and then if you skip the first 7 lines, which you'll be swinging back through them in the course of study, states are not allowed to bring forward any law impairing the what? Obligation of
Contracts.
You know what that contract is?
Whatever they want to make.
That contract is with Rome. Through
Yes.
Great Britain as the face, and the Freemasons made sure that they got it written in here so that this crap could continue right on to blind the people and keep us ensnared in a language of death and keep us as their perpetual guarantors of their debt. Your name is what backs this. Why does this work? Why does it work?
The faith of the
Faith.
people.
That's right. It works because it says, in God we trust. Which God? The Greek one? In Rome? In Italy? Or that one? Why does that work? You know who that is on the front of that thing? Who is that?
That is
Right.
Jackson.
That's right. What's his
Jack-
history? Why was he sent here?
Okay.
Why was he sent here? He was sent here to track down the Indian tribes by the utilization of the Jesuit priests, because some of the Indian tribes bear Hebraic bloodlines, and that which is totally against everything that is Hebraic or mankind out of Adam is desperate to find them and know exactly where all that kind is at, so that it has a chance of making everything that is Adamic go extinct. If you were the devil and you wanted God's throne, how are you going to do it? How are you going to take war against the supreme creator of the universe, lay a confident challenge to his throne, challenge the war angels and all the myriads that we know exist? We know there's tons of them. A fellow told me the other day that I was very successful, better than Obama, because I actually created jobs. I've got some of the angels in employ, keeping me breathing. How are you going to do it?
Create an army and you trick them.
Yeah, but they already lost. They lost one time before. How are you going to get them to believe in you this time? Why should they? They've lived for millennia, time unknown, cursed. What's going to make this time successful? What's your evidence going to be when you come to that Supreme Court? When you walk in there and say, move over, God. I'm the big bad dog now. How are you going to do that? Well, it's all based on evidence. You are evidence of God. Your names, your title of nobility has proper, natural, godly value tied to that name. We curse that value when we put faith in something that is of the occult, witchcraft. That mess right there. We bring down the value of our names when we say, yep, that's money. And I take that out and I buy $20 worth of something from Mr. Austin here. I hand him this here chunk of witchcraft curse paper. I shake his hand. I say, thank you, sir. What's he got?
Debt.
That's right. And beyond debt, what's he got? He's going to put that where?
In his pockets.
It sounds like you give me debt and death.
That's right. Debt and death. That thing, that form of currency, bears curses all over it. The single dollar bill has the Bohemian owl of the Bohemian Grove on the shoulder of the $1. It's got the Cletus constellation on the back at the top of the eagle. You name it, it's cursed, and we pack it around on us because we believe it. If this had been an actual transaction, what would have really transpired there?
You
What
probably
would
would
have
have
been
gotten the
the
better
sum?
end of the deal.
I'd have robbed him.
Yeah.
But this is all I got to work with. Sorry, Mr. Lawson, I can only give you this. I don't have a ton of gold. I don't have one piece of gold. I got one piece of silver, and I bought it because I don't give a fig about it. It's just I like the buffalo on it, and it happens to be that big around. I can't eat it. Might melt it down and shoot it one of these days. But so what happens? Now all of us engage in this on a daily basis. You guys know about the illegality of the Federal Reserve Christmas Eve of 1913, how it was all crap and snuck in. I have a portion of the 1871 Corporate Constitution in that briefcase right there, and even it, under incorporated law, even it forbids the creation of the Federal Reserve. They blew that all to heck for the second time on the eve of Christmas, 1913.
It says it there in the Creature from Jekyll Island.
Yes, sir. Yep. You guys haven't read that book, you need to pick it up. So what happens? Every day we go out, we whip this stuff out off of our person, where we carry what else? What's that?
Driver's license.
Another contract.
That is called an
Contract with the
adhesion
state.
contract. What is an adhesion? It's based on another word that we
Yeah.
speak it. Adhere.
Right here.
It sticks to you. Like a disease, a bacteria, like what? A curse. Like a curse. It sticks to you. Now, this one here, as all of them, okay, this is actually a coffin.
What?
This is a coffin.
Okay.
All right, I told you I've had to learn to speak backwards and see everything backwards, and now I've found the actuality. Everything we think we perceive is a complete lie, and everything that we've been taught not to think is where the actual truth is going to be found at.
Orwellian speak.
Orwellian speech, exactly, okay? This is a coffin. It has a photo of what on it? The deceased.
Supposed to be you.
Yeah, yeah. He appears as me, that dirty little bugger. It's all right. He gets all the blame, not me. He's a part of their Gibber monster, and I've learned to capture him and turn him around, and now he fights to the forefence of my kingdom. I'm not a fiction. You'll notice something else on here. You'll see my title of nobility abbreviated, and once you figure this out, you never ever abbreviate your title of nobility. You write your name in full. Okay? King John Smith, King Austin, you guys, you write your names in full. Proper spelling. The spelling remains the same. Okay? Majuscule letter at the beginning, which means you're a big ass in terms of art, and you'll read it for yourself. I'm not pulling your leg. And the minuscule letters are there so that they can identify you as a little ass when you refuse to recognize them either way. And that is all in your document there, terms of art, which ain't yours, by the way. It's their news. They wrote it, and in it is found the only way that we'll ever win. Do you notice that something happened in this coffin? How come my name over here, my title of nobility, just like yours on this plastic coffin, looks like this over here and over this like here, where it's printed in all capitalized fictional letters? I know Mr. Miller's done a great job on teaching you guys about the fiction thing of the corporations. What happened in here, from here to there, was called a mass murder. Okay, this is a grand identity theft. Grand means majuscule. Majuscule means capital. Capital crime, capital sin. It is capital identity theft. In this coffin right here, the state has killed me underneath the Holy Roman Imperial Order. They have mark and seal over them that appears as the seal of the United States and the seal of Montana, which incorporated under the Buck Act of, what, 1941? And the king of the moment is who? Whoever the world ruler is. It varies. Okay? It's the king of the moment. And what is it? Retroactive. And because it's retroactive, what can't happen? What is the next claim that comes forward under this identity theft that they say you can't do once you figure this out, as long as you are a property, a citizen of the state? See, they wrote this stuff so that people would think that if you go against the tenets of the British Commercial Charter that appears as our Constitution, that it's like sacrilege. I've been there. I tell my boys, when that flag goes by and Old Glory goes by, you stand straight as a ramrod and you let them tears run down your face. That's the colors of your country. Men, real kings, real queens, fought and died for that. Okay?
Right.
You say the Pledge of Allegiance, and you say it with pride and loud, and just like that, don't you ever be ashamed. Okay? I didn't comprehend that what I was telling them was the very thing that was actually going to lead them to their death. The next thing that you're forbidden as a state citizen to engage in, you can't pass any bill of attainder. Went there, line 6. And it was so important to the Freemason half, there's about 12 of them in the Founding Fathers, it is so important to them that that doesn't happen that they mentioned it twice. Look up here. No bill of attainder. Or ex post facto law. Now, I've done tons of hours of work on this, and I ain't no expert, but I'll tell you what I come up to. Without the utilization of ex post facto law, which means ex means away from, ex equals apart, away from, without. And post equals notice afterwards. After what? After the claim, their claim. Their claim. Claim. And law. You take that document in your hands called Terms of Art now. Okay? It's in alphabetical order. Open that document up and turn to the word law. Find that Terms of Art. This is what you're looking for here, is Terms of Art. Terms of Art is Regulus. Do you know what Regulus is? Regulus is the final alchemization, hypnotization, found at the end of alchemy. Sir Isaac Newton, 1796. Finally, his notes, he died 1806. Finally, his notes in 1796, he had figured out, he had got everything together and was now down to the final thing, which was the goal called Regulus.
I think we have the terms of art.
Ernie, did you have a lot of those? Because I don't have one.
I didn't have too much money to work on, so I apologize to you guys. If you don't have it, please. Give
It's
Mr.
called
Miller
Terms
a-
of Art?
It's called Terms of Art, and it'll be 23 pages front and back.
Is that the headline on
You gotta
the
have
on the
it.
paper?
It's
Terms?
called, no, I'm sorry. It's called Terms of,
I got legal terms of control.
that's it. Terms of Legal Control /
Yep,
Power.
yep. Okay, I got
Because of
that.
the lengthy title, they always just
Let's
call
see
it
it,
Terms
Bill.
of Art. All the legal professionals
Glossary?
call it Terms of Art.
Okay.
I will tell you for a fact that there is a chief of the demons, chief of the Republicans, and the chief of the
Page 140.
sinners in Helena tonight, and he is regulating all the good intention that all of us have. He is an unseen death angel in a way to bring curses and death upon everything that we're fighting for. And I'll tell you right up front that he appears as archwake. He is under obligation, mark and seal of the Holy Roman Empire, hidden and unknown, backwards, retroactive, which requires a reflex activity, which means forward as well. That's confession backwards and profession forward, to destroy in a manner unseen, unknown, through that document, Terms of Legal Control / Power. He is there. in conjunction with legislative services, which is all what? Lawyers and attorneys and retired what? Judges. Why are they there? Oh, they're the great high priests.
How many of you is needing a set of those?
That reminds me of what a comedian once said one time when he said, if pro and con are opposites, the opposite of progress is Congress.
That's right. Will Rogers said the only difference between death and Congress is that death doesn't get worse each time it convenes. You know where that leads. Okay. Regulus. Okay, so ex post facto law is going to lead us to regulus. That seems like a mighty far cry in between words, and it's taken me years to get there and figure it out. Law, in the document of terms of art, legal terms of control / power. Law in the western half of the hemisphere. Oh, you guys are going to love that. Where are we at?
Western half of the hemisphere.
Half of hemisphere. Equals another Greek phrase called lex lares. Lex layers sounds like liars, and that's pretty apt. And that equals tales, legends, myths, fables. Of what? Beowulf? Fables of deified Greek gods. That's what we're under. There's no actual law in the western half of the hemisphere. You will read the Hortus Conclusus, as it is called, the Garden of Conclusion. To that very definition in that document will tell you that in 325 AD, Constantine caused this by not putting us, I guess is the way to say it, putting us under lex legis, which is Roman code equals actual code. So, what do we not have here? What is not in the western half of the hemisphere? We don't have legislators. We don't have that over the western half of the hemisphere. Now that document, so that you know who wrote that document and all those definitions, is a encyclopedia of evil terms that, if you know how to test, I've done some testing on it through the Holy Spirit, and it turns out that that document, its intent and the collocution of it, the beginning to write it down with intent and purpose, malintent, okay, begins at the fall of the Tower of Babel. What happened to the languages when the Tower of Babel fell? Everything went what? Upside down. And when it's upside down, you can make it go any way you want. Retroactive or proactive, doesn't matter. Okay? They claim retroactive because it's actual. They really were here before Adam and Eve. This was their kingdom at that time. They had a form that was what the Bible calls angelic. Lucifer was what?
An angel. Angel of light.
Yeah, angel of light.
Angel of light. What's his other names? Son of the morning star.
Yep.
Morning singer. He was in charge of the choir. All the demons we see now were angels then, and they sang in perfect harmony. This planet operated perfectly. It had perfect balance, it had perfect pitch, it had perfection on it, because there was no tainting of anything that God had created at that time. But through deep study, what you're going to find out is that this bunch that causes the states to be forbidden from ex post tales of Greek gods and what have you, which is what they're going to evidence to you when you set your objection up. You'll have to use ex post facto law because that's the investigation they have to conduct on their own selves. When you say, no, I ain't a part of your Greek crap, bring forward and produce the actual natural forms. It's called forma naturata. Sorry that we have to do Greek, but we have to do Greek if you're going to win them at their own battle. Naturata means natural forms of evidence, not man-made. Natural, God evidence. Bring forward and produce the forma naturata evidence to the contrary that I am a child of the King of Kings, as are you. You got 7 days. You got 30 days. You got 10 minutes. I don't care. Don't give them any time. Why? Because ignorance and juris non excuse that. They are the practitioners of what? What's that word?
Law.
Ain't they professionals? They study for what? The ecclesiastical number of 7 years to get what? The mark that hangs on their wall, the seal that says they are nuts enough to be certified to do this. And you're nuts if you uphold this system, and that's why the mental compass thing is going to work on the gun control, because if you uphold this mess, you're nuts. This is demonic. It's totally anti-human. Everybody's nuts that is law-abiding. Wrong kind of law. Ecclesiastical law. What is that? 10 Commandments. It's the 10 Commandments. It's that simple. Do unto others
As you would want them to do unto you.
Yeah. That's right.
treat me right, I treat you right, treat your children right, treat my children right, we teach them the same, we become strong, okay? When there's problems, we don't have a judge that makes a big fat paycheck off of our name. If we have a problem, me and you, Captain Smith, we take it before the elders assembled here, man and woman, of them all. They have to be established family, have to prove themselves. They got children, if they ain't got children, they ain't allowed into council. They ain't learned the lessons that parents, mommies, and daddies have to learn. Their rulings will be imbalanced. Have to be family people. They have to be proven tithers to what? The corporate church? Some fat preacher in a $1,000 suit and a caddy? No, no, no. That is an insult. What do you think this is? You whip that out and you throw that down the offering plate, and you go home and you go, good boy am I. I have honored God this day by giving him a piece of nothing that had witchcraft and curses and spelling and hypnotism and alchemy and the death of my nation and my people all over it. Put yourself in God's shoes. Any wonder he's wroth with us? Would you like that? Is that the way I should treat you guys? With that crap? No. When I tithe, it's never with this junk. I refuse. I won't do it. Won't do it. No. I tithe by buying extra bread and giving it to somebody down the street.
There you go.
I tithe. I even tithe to my employer, the one whom I have a private contract with, because I don't contract with anybody but my private employer. State's not allowed in, feds ain't allowed in, don't allow in the demonic hordes. They're against my kingdom and I don't deal with them. Keep them out there. Okay? I put in a few extra minutes from time to time on the old job, and I do it gladly. Because God has given me the health, the fortitude, the strength of mind, and strength of body to run a draw knife and peel some skip pole, post, and pole railing for furniture for the family that I work for. I tithe to my employer. I tithe to my fellow man. I go down and dig the neighbors out when the snow's too deep. Whip out the old shovel because I don't own a tractor, but I got me in a shovel. And I know how to run that, and I don't need no adhesion contracts to run that thing, so I go down there and help shovel out the neighbor. Pull them out the ditch. Whatever. Tithing is not this junk. Tithing is the actual produce of your body as a field. It's what comes out of you. It's what your hands make. If you're a carpenter, go help Habitat. Or fix the widow lady's roof on her porch where it leaks. Yeah. I got a friend in Upper Livingston that I'm going to tithe. His name is Tony Motta. Keep him in your prayers. He's at death's door, and he's only, what, 57 maybe? Long-time friend of mine. Weighs less than 100 pounds down to walking on a walker. I'm going to go over, and we're going to put up hand railing on a house that he struggled for 4 years to build, so that the 80-mile-an-hour winds that come down the upper paradise don't blow him right off of his own deck on the front of his house. That's a tithe. I'm going to go bless my friend and help out and represent God's name well No objections. Okay?
It's like that movie said, be the miracle.
Be the miracle. Yes. Is common law. Exists by the common sense of the Ten Commandments. And if you break one of them, and it's accidental, you didn't know it, you got caught in something, or whatever happened, just like the Old Testament provided, it says if the axe flies off of the handle and striketh a man and death results, there is a township set aside wherein the accidental slayer may flee to until such time as his case can be heard by the elders, not a judge who's going to make a big fat paycheck off of this commercial activity called crime. It's sin. S-I-N. Standing is negative. What just happened to your standing when you sin? You went from positive to what?
Negative.
Which side of your body is positive?
Right side.
Which side is negative?
Left.
Left side.
This is your power side. Now you know why the Freemasons are worse than the Illuminati. This is right-hand pathers. These are the sinister ones. Here comes Anguus and Urbis over here. Latin phrase that means anguish in the grass, snake in the grass. Okay? Bar sinister. Bar members, bar sinister. Acting under obligation. All right. Forma naturata, God's law. That's evidence. Never use the word proof. Proof is this. Me doing a song and dance. How's that look? Ridiculous, right? You just paid me $70,000 to do that, and you thought you won in court. What's evidence? I own this table, and no man can out-argue me. I own the court. I took it when Joel Boniek was in there 2 months ago? How did I own that court? Because I know who I am. Possession, let me write this down here. We're going to be covering lots of stuff. You guys tell me when your eyes are popping out of your head. I can do this for days. You guys, I recommend you get the DVD of this from the young lady that's doing the filming. Not so you can watch my fuzzy face up here, but so you can go back and hear what I had to say and then research it. Okay, prove me, just like proving God. What's God say in His Word? Prove me. Try me. He's not offended. It doesn't mean you're a doubter. It means you're serious about what you're doing, and it's actually an honor to God if you will test Him. Not to wrath, to common sense. Is this really you, Lord? Is this the way I should go today? Is this the decision I should make? Now, should I wait? Should I buy that gallon of milk or that one over there? Your body has all memory of God in it. And when you do that, you can take, the tea in that glass. Give you a quick end sample here, and then we'll get back to the board. You see the tea in that glass? I can drink the tea, right? Yeah. All right. Father, quick word of truth. Is the tea in that glass okay for me to drink? Your body is a divination rod. Throw the word witchcraft out with divination. It is scientific. God's not a dummy. He's got a giant lab, and we live in it. Okay? He put in you everything of Himself. That which the angelic, now demonic, did not have, the 1/3, is called a soul. You got that. They don't. That's why they want yours. And I'll show you how they capture it. How about the glass that stuff is in? Can I eat that glass? Well, we all know the answer is no. You eat a glass, it's stupid, it'll kill you. Well, that's a pretty logical deal. Father, can I eat that glass? You'll tip right over backwards. In situations where there's witchcraft afoot, you ask these questions in just a simple test. I've seen, like Mom there, has been picked right off her feet and thrown backwards away from the demonic that was operating right in her presence. Your body, every cell of it, every molecule, has perfect memory. God did not set out to fail. I didn't come here tonight to fail. That's why I'm speaking passionately to you and have brought evidence. That's why I've been to court and faced them in the court. That day with Joel, the judge ended up fleeing the court, and there was 12 police officers that ended up coming on board. All right? I was never touched. Why? Because of knowledge. Not because I went there violently. She angered me, the judge did, and that's why I said what I did. I didn't go there to be a hero. I didn't have anything to do with Joel. There was no plan afoot. I have a lot of respect for Joel. I've been giving him bits and pieces of this information over the past couple of years, trying to get him to see this is how it works, and this is what you got to do to make it unwork itself. I went there to see what Rome was going to do to my brother. Because beyond my friend, just like all of you, you're my brothers and my sisters, and if I don't view you in that fashion, I'm going to have to deal with my maker later on. It's not going to be good for me. You guys have to remember these things. All right? It's ecclesiastical law that we are held under, not commerce. Sin is not supposed to be a commercial event. So I watched the judge do her thing, be very arrogant. It's called filibuster. Remember this word. Go home and dig out your encyclopedia and research the word filibuster. It's more than a loudmouth, long-winded politician running these yaps until everybody gives up and goes home. More than that, it happened in that courtroom that day. There was freebooters, buccaneers, pirates for all that come aboard under the word filibuster. And they're all under obligation. Now, there's so many subjects, it's hard for me to keep it all straight where we're going here. You have natural value. I'm going to put down value. Okay, and this is ecclesiastical value. Actual, real. Okay. This is your title of nobility. All right, if I use your name, Captain Smith?
Sure.
This is Captain John Smith's title of nobility. I'll print it because my handwriting is atrocious, and it won't be a copyright infringement on his title of nobility if I print. You guys know how you sign your names. John Smith. I'd write mine, but it'd take the whole bulletin board and all 4 of these markers. All right, that is his title of nobility. All of you guys have a title of nobility. If that wasn't important, it would never have been forbidden. Remember, everything that is, whether it's negative or positive, in what we used to think was our roof, our covering, that appeared as the Constitution, it's in there because they're afraid of it. And they don't want you to understand that they were afraid of it. They want you to view it in a negative light, or as, yes, I need to uphold this, which then makes you insane, or ex-sane, away from and without sanity. All right. John Smith is born on a hospital, or in a hospital, and you guys know, I'm sure, that every hospital, and it does not matter private, military base. Do you know that?
No.
Every hospital, including every one that lists itself as private, is a military base. It's on military ground. They can militarize them zones, and they have long ago. You were born a prisoner. You were born in a military prison. They would not let your parents, or those of you who had children, if they were inside of that military base, you didn't get to go home until what happened? What had to happen?
Or your name.
Ha-ha. That's right, paperwork. Okay, paperwork. Now, what did the paperwork do?
Released you
Yeah, it released you from what?
from their custody.
You mean that you're born on American soil and you couldn't go home either as a child or with your children unless you had a permit that allowed you to go home?
According to their
You
rules
had
and
to have
regulations.
printed permission
According
in
to their,
America where we're free?
according to their rules and regulations, yeah.
Something's wrong with that, isn't it?
Yep.
You guys let me know when you want me to stop. Okay, I'm going to change the spelling here a little bit. You see that E? Earth?
Like a ship.
Yep, like a ship. Now how do you feel about it?
Well, that
What's
makes the
that?
doctor the harbor master, wouldn't it?
That makes you property of the harbor master, which is Rome via Great Britain. That means you have a ticket with a number on it. You are on board of the Vatican ship, which is a what? It's a slaver. That's why you were born in slavery as a prisoner. It is a slavery. That's right. It's a slavery. Birth certificate also has a double. It is, you're going to like this. How do you like that?
You mean the footprint?
What's the black spot?
The footprint.
Oh, yeah, it's in there. That's evidence that you were there and they captured you.
Right.
What is the black spot?
The seal.
Yeah, it's a seal of what?
Ownership.
Think pirate terms. Think Redbeard. Think Blackbeard. Think Long John Silver. Think pirate terms. What was the black spot? When I walked up to somebody and I handed them the black spot and turned around and walked away, what did they just get notice of in their hand?
Like a mark of death?
That's right. A mark of death. The birth certificate, the live birth certificate, is the mark of death. To the Roman cult system, the cult Kyria system, that's not a live birth. That is a notice of a dead, stillborn bastard under ecclesiastical law to them. Simple property having no life. Okay? And what did they do with this black spot? The doctor went out the door somewhere and he went over and he put it in a coffin that appears as a bulla, which we think is an envelope, and it's actually a coffin. This notice of death. And he walked over to the mailbox, or he caused somebody to go to the mailbox, which is a coffin for handling notices of death. And they put it in this mailbox. Now, if you're rural route, you'll know that your mailbox is on what?
Pole.
Post. Okay, what's a post stand for? There's a symbol of a post. What's it look like?
A cross.
What'd they do to your value?
Crucified you.
They crucified you. They separated your natural value from, this is under the rendition program. Thank you, Lord, for keeping my mind straight and my tongue strong.
Is that also when they created the straw man?
Yes, this is the result. That word, rend, what's rend mean? If I picked up these here thin papers, they have to be thin because I'm kind of a weakling, and I go, and I rip them in half. What do I do to them? I rent them. If it's a man and I'm really mad defending my children, and I might say to him as Goliath did to David, come to me and I will rend you bone from bone. What did Goliath tell David he'd do to him?
Rip him.
That's right. He didn't say, I'll roast marshmallows with you. He said, I'll rip you bone from bone. There'll be nothing left inside your skin when I'm done. You're 14 years old and I'm 14 feet tall. I weigh a half ton and you weigh 140. Let's get it on. It's called Rendition Program. I found this in the American Free Press paper about 3 weeks ago. God put me onto the word rendition over the New Year's Day. Okay, and I did the word search on it. Out of Rendition Program comes the word Randa.
Rendition is also what the U.S. government has been doing to these people by waterboarding them.
That's correct. And how does it get away with it?
By doing it in countries that allow it.
Yeah. Then why do those countries allow it?
Obligated.
Dynamic.
Yeah, Mom said it.
Obligated.
And how are they obligated?
Obligation.
Yep.
What did they sign in 1948?
Yep.
You guys know. UN.
Yeah, the UN treaty.
Yep.
Oh boy. Wow.
And when they became signatories, which is short for sigil, which equals a cult mark. And remember, never spell mark with a K again. That's a mistake. Cult mark, sigil. Now think your signature. You're telling me that the nature of your sigil is that of the occult? Really? Is your nature that of the occult, sir?
I don't believe so.
All right, there you go. But what did you have to say? I'm going to say something to you, and I want you to make a reply. Your name is an occult mark. Say, screw you, bullshit, no it ain't. I am the live, actual, real human being. I am the forma naturata. I am the natural man. I have godly value, natural God value. I am not what comes out of this, which is... You guys have seen this word because Mr. Miller has been teaching you. What's that word?
Fiction.
Yeah, in all of that went on there, what did they do from here to there to there? What happened? It happened on that coffin that appears as a driver's license that I showed to you.
They created a false person, or a paper person.
That's right.
They created the entity, the
Fiction.
legal
That's
entity.
right.
The legal
They
fiction.
rent from you through violence of force, hostage taking, identity theft by force and fraud. They rent away from you your natural God value.
Yeah, but they don't do it through force.
They do it through consent.
Did you get to walk away from that hospital without doing it by force?
I don't know, I was too young.
Okay. If
I
you
was
try
only-
to leave a hospital with your newborn child, what will happen? If you don't do any of the paperwork.
You get arrested for kidnapping, more than likely.
That's right. What's that called? Force. Kidnapping. Sir,
Born at home.
good for you.
Yeah.
Way to go.
I was born in Rome, and Rome's been sorry ever since. A fella told me the other day, he said, I think you're William Wallace back from the dead in the year 1314. Well, I don't know. I think I'm prettier than William Wallace was. But anyway, there you go. So that's what's going on. They crucified, posted your natural value. That word means posted. Okay, now the word posted shows up in the 1789 British Charter of Commerce that appears as our Constitution. Now, I want to show you something. You guys let me know when you want a break here, okay? Let me know.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
When a newborn baby is born, they take that baby away away from the mother, usually off into another room to weigh it, to do this, to do that. What are they doing to that baby?
It's property. They're evaluating state property, federal property,
Inventory.
ecclesiastical property. That's right. They're adding it to their inventory. That's what they're doing.
Some of that
They're
stuff
analyzing
I covered
DNA
in some of the meetings.
samples.
Yes.
I want to be touching on
Yes.
some of that after he's done on exactly.
Well, I go, you know, like I was talking to my son-in-law, my daughter. They have 5 children, and all in the last 7 years, and we were talking the other night, and I said, how do you know that those kids aren't injected with a chip?
Absolutely.
Right.
They
That's
are
right.
now. In fact, is anybody that was born after, I think it was 75 in a major hospital was implanted with a chip at time of birth.
Wow.
I'll give you something to chew on here. You know how everybody's been coming down sick across our land
Yeah.
this year?
Yep.
What are them people all going in for? When they go in and they get their what? Their flu shot.
Flu shot.
Flu shot. Vaccines.
Inoculation.
Well, that's right. What is the condition of that flu shot? Is it dead like this tabletop?
Nope.
No.
No. It's living bacteria.
Yes, it is.
Exactly.
What makes it alive? Is it God that makes that alive, or is that living thing coming from something
Something that's living.
of the dark side
Yeah.
that lives forever in a state of death and never ever dies? Not even at the end of the book. Goes into the abyss and never dies. God never gets them killed. God gets them contained. They never, ever, ever die. That is why you cannot kill the demonic. You're not going to make them perish. Cannot be done. Flat out, carte blanche, unequivocal statement. What you can do is you can take control of the host that is going likely to appear in a human form. Of the humus, of the soil. It's going to appear to be that. But inside of that appearance, which is an apparition, there is going to be a spark of something eternally dangerous and deadly. And it's alive. It has what? Animation. What's, the commander of thieves at present upon the land in the district known as Myra, called the District of Columbia? The commander of thieves has a form, does he not? He's got big ears and purple lips and his eyes blink and he eats and poops and all the things we figured he probably ought to do. What is he lacking when he speaks? Do you remember his first campaign?
Truth.
No, he's very true. We just don't know how to see it. He's absolutely truthful. He not lied to you one time. He's done everything he said he was going to do. Look at it. He's done it. He never lied. He didn't lie about this neither.
Well, it's all a matter of perception. Right.
Well, it's a matter of actuality.
Yeah.
You got to learn not to accept what seems on the front, but look behind the scene.
That's right.
You got to learn to start thinking backwards, because they're all under obligation.
Yep.
The Holy Roman Imperial Order to conduct their manners and orders of business in a specific manner that is backwards, upside down, and hidden. All okay. What did the commander of thieves say in his first campaign? Well, if it survives the abortion attempt, well, you just you take it out and you lay it over there on the sideboard, and then when it quits crying, you dispose of it. Commander of thieves, that's the man you want leading your land. Your people, what was he lacking? Compassion. How can any man having 2 daughters, being a right form of Godkind, say something like that? Even Lincoln, who was half Rothschild bastard by his first mother, even he wept. He still had compassion. You'll know them by the way they walk. What do you think the old-time Indians made them, everybody in the Western, how? The stupidest thing in the world. Indians are smart. They knew that in the old days, the crap that was that immortal enemy couldn't put its hand up like this in greeting. It is Vulcan. That is what would come forward, and if that is what the sign that they saw come out of that thing approaching their encampment, it was kept out of their encampment at all costs because it presented an eternal, immortal danger to the natural forms that we call Indians, who are made of the same God we are, here living on the same land that we live on. They knew it. Who caused that perversion of knowledge to where the Doli Incapax, the Semites, do you know what anti-Semite means? If I'm anti-Semite, I'm against all of you in this room because you're all white. You know when that phrase was developed? 1893. Anti-Semite. Why would I be against white tribes? For lack of knowledge, my people perish. Okay? So, con, constructed of what? Con, which is a con job. And con means which way?
Backwards.
Yeah. It's the opposite of what?
Forward.
Oh.
Yeah. Forward.
Now, when you make repentance to God your Father, what do? You make a confession. Why? Because you did something. You did something in the past. It's that away. And now you're trying to make amends for it, and in the making of amends for it, you're giving him your word that you will conduct yourself from this time on in the opposite fashion of what caused you to have to come to the point of repentance. Confession.
So is that where the word promise comes from? Promise?
I haven't done the word work on it, but the prefix here, the addition, because almost all words are conjunctive. They've been added to have the prefix and the suffix, and you find the root word right in the middle, generally speaking. Not always, but 80% of the time. Okay. Yes. Promise, profession, forward. Okay. Construction, con, is also spelled another way. You guys will like this. Here's what happened to Joel Boniak. You see that second N on there? Do you know that is actually a word? 6 sets of dictionaries, 6 sets of encyclopedias. I've been through them all, and I cite them on every word. I cite them on every word, because you can't sack Rome if you ain't accurate. You better have your dang ducks in a row, and you better know the number of feathers per duck. Okay? Con equals the attempt. It's an attempt on your life. Attempt of undertaking. And who's an undertaker? That's right. Undertaking. Navigation. An attempt of undertaking navigation. The attempt means might not work. It's an attempt. It's an effort. The undertaking means you, the actual person, is probably going to pay a price for the posted fiction. They're out to turn their monster called the Gabor loose on your shuttle. And they're going to claim, hey, you can't lay a bill of attainder on me because I didn't hurt you, John Smith. I only laid taxes and fees. And by the way, fees is not spelled F-E-E. It's spelled F-I-E. And it equals shame. 16th century Middle English. M-E. So when you're paying fees and fines, what are you paying? For your sins. Why? Because you're a stillborn bastard, an animal to all of those of the principalities. That judge, that pirate chief that appeared as Linda Budusky, it was an appearance only. Color of law. It was an appearance only, but denying the fullness thereof. Have you ever read that verse in God's Word? It's warning you about a rendered man, a hollow man, a person who's going to lie to you. They're going to hug you and shake your back and eat your food and cradle your baby, and all the while they're plotting the death of you and your family. Okay? Well, when the pirate captain, which is what was real, that appeared as a justice of the peace, which is the false, had come on board of the ship, which appeared as the courtroom that we were in. Okay? The ship was actual. The courtroom was the appearance. She already knew that she had a private contract with the ends of the courts, to the ends of the courts. Okay? She held a private contract to operate as a soldier. Tell me what this is going to say. You guys
Fortune.
know.
Fortune.
That's right.
She was a mercenary.
A mercenary. And what was she going? What was she doing? She was going to assassinate somebody. Who did she assassinate?
The defendant.
That's right. Who appeared as what? Joel Bunyan.
Joe.
Okay. Remember I told you about your natural value? Well, now I'm going to have you think in nautical terminology. You got to think boats now, out on the open water. Her court is a ship. It's called a privateer. This is in the encyclopedias. I'm not telling you anything.
Called a what?
A ship.
Privateer.
Privateer.
A privateer, because she is what? A soldier of fortune. How'd you get that way? She has a contract. Okay, she's a ship captain, a boat owner. Okay, it is called, I probably should erase this to really get this going here. Privateer. Look this up in your encyclopedias. Okay, and that is the boat, the ship that she was sailing 7 weeks ago. Joel Boniek, let me erase this because I need more room now.
Why don't we take a break for a few minutes?
Okay. Go for it, you guys. Don't wait on me. I'm gonna write some stuff down.
Because if you go to Medicaid and Medicare, that's all government. There's no stocks in there. But if you go to the private healthcare system, those are private corporations. They have stocks. Something for the politicians to invest in.
Revenue generator.
Right. So That's why they're always pushing for war, so they can invest in companies that make up the military-industrial complex. Peace doesn't sell, war does. Peace doesn't generate money. Right.
All the war armaments and equipment.
Yep. Raytheon, McDonnell Douglas. Politicians buy stocks in those companies when war is, because that's when the companies are booming, and they make a profit. They're making a profit off the backs of our military, who are coming home missing arms and legs and messed up in the head and all that stuff.
You look like you can talk to us.
Yes!
So she fixed me an espresso and I was ready for a few hours.
Okay.
Talking about putting chips in, they already are putting a lot of chips in manufactured stuff.
I was telling my wife that
My special recipe. This is my special recipe. Yeah, you open the refrigerator and the spice rack and throw it all in.
Put it between a couple pieces of bread and you got a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed grew the eggs though.
Ed grows the eggs.
Yes,
Okay.
Ed used to do it to the
Yes.
ladies.
Yes. Yeah.
But we're selling them too fast. Like, we have to take a couple dozen and put them in the basement so we can see the eggs. They don't peel right if you don't, they aren't old enough. So if you take a fresh egg, like what we have, and you try to boil them, you can boil them, but it's
Sure. They have. Absolutely.
so
Obligated.
So we have to
That's the
take
key word. They're under obligation. Everybody that is up right now in the government is under obligation. They will.
Well, that's the word I was thinking of, etymology. That's the study of the origin of words.
Yes, sir.
Who are they obligated to?
I was trying to remember what that was, so I just remembered it.
Maybe some of them don't know, but the judges and the lawyers do.
The young lawyer, the green one, is understanding it, but the older one.
That might be. I'm not really sure why it's such a corrupt.
well, it has a
That's
lot
why you can never win.
Your cards are stacked against you if
Yes.
you're in their system
Well,
and thinking you're a man, you're a free
you're
person.
obeying the law. There's no such thing.
Familiar with the two different sources?
You can't.
You're the...
my grandmother taught me to do
Okay.
oil,
The elite
and
think
then
that we... I do, Mr. Holloway.
They do. Exactly.
According to what...
That's right. We're
I'm
already
still awake.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Nobody to death here.
yeah, and then
What was the
Ed
fellow that was listening to the Apostle Paul and fell asleep and fell out the second story window? Only difference between me and Paul is I don't know if we go with a teach to bring you back to life. I see what happened here.
you put them in oil,
The natural John Smith becomes, after posting,
turn it off.
oh, after posting,
What do you think, Art?
becomes the commercial John Smith.
Some of it before.
Now you're official. They got your shadow and you're stuck up here on an ecclesiastical cross. They nailed you there, hung you out to dry.
That was bad.
The Joel Bunyan, the natural God value man, the natural proper person
We have
value
fresh
man,
rabbit,
natural
guys, if you're
spelling.
interested in.
After being run down, did you guys see the film where the cops run him down on the road?
Yeah.
Okay. Ordered him out of his rig, kicked his feet out from under, hammerlocked him and handcuffed him, took him back to the cruiser. After being run down,
They did that to Joel.
Joel Bunyan, and boarded. What do you board? A ship. Yeah. You board a ship. What's a ship called?
Vessel.
Yeah, a vessel. You're right, Captain John. Good job.
I studied contract law.
That's right. Okay. It's a vessel. What does the Bible say we are?
Vessels.
What kind of a vessel are you supposed to be under ecclesiastical law?
Vessel in the
Well, yes, it's all
Vessel
through
and
God's
sh-
word. What kind of a vessel are we supposed to be? Jesus was a vessel
of the land.
Light of light.
broken and spilled out. I don't hold anything from you, Austin. My house is yours. You need to borrow my tools, I'll loan them to you, and I'll come along and put my back and shoulder into your project. I am a vessel, not worth more than you, broken, and spilled out. I am a king. Absolutely, I'm a king.
Yeah, but you sure know more a lot about this than I do.
That's why he's here, to share what he knows.
I am a king who owes all of you an apology because I failed you for many years. I could have had this lesson many, many years ago because God wired me for this. This is my engineering degree. I'm made to do this at this time in our nation's history. I'm driven. I haven't a choice. I've lost another one, my wife and children, over this. This is my home. I have a nice modified storage unit that I sleep in, courtesy of my blessed folks. I have a means of forfending on the land for my name. I get pieces of cursed witchcraft in return for my labor, and I'm forced through fraud and duress to engage in what? Robbery? To buy milk, bread and cheese, and pay for the heat bill and the light bill and the
Photocopies.
photocopies. Okay, did I create that? Nope, didn't create it. Did I agree to it? I did. Did I know what I was agreeing to? Did you?
No.
Nope.
Hidden contract.
That's right.
We've
So
been
it's
conned.
that's right. It was a con job. So is this contract valid? All of this crap, the laws they can't enforce, all of this crap, is it valid? Is any of this valid?
If you sign to it, yeah.
No.
No.
Not?
Nope.
No.
It's not valid if they did not tell you every bit of minutia in the details. If there was one thing that they have, one I they didn't dot, one T they didn't cross, I don't care what that contract looks like, it is fraud, and it will appear as fraud prima facie, which means first on its face it looks like fraud, or it might look like truth until you set up your objection and go, no, dadgummit, like I did to the judge, bullshit. You're out of order, because she was out of order. And the first mate that was appearing as the prosecuting attorney, pro se, for self. What self? For Joel Bonnier. As a commercial fiction, it was a commercial venture. They'd already captured his vessel. They'd run him down. They boarded him through what? The black spot, which appears as the birth certificate, and the Social Security deal. It's the boarding ramps into your vessel. That's how they take you at sea, okay? Well, they were out of order. Whose order? Theirs? Are you kidding me? What's their world?
Backwards and upside down.
That's their world. What's God's world?
That's the opposite.
That's right, sir. It's forward and upright. God is not the author of
Confusion.
that's right, but is the author of
Truths.
yes, ordered faith. This is done to everybody. I learned a mighty lesson after I did the little deal there. Okay, and remember, please, I ain't a hero. I didn't set out that my name would be in lights in front of you guys tonight. I'm just a pissed off working American with tears in my eyes and brokenhearted for what is going on in my land.
Yep.
And I'm sick of it, and I want to know how the heck they keep getting away with this crap from here to the president.
By consent.
How do they do this? Obligation. We consent to it because we don't know any better. We don't know we don't have to. I don't care how big them cops are that's holding a gun to your side of your head, and you may have to spend, this man right here, spend 15 years inside. Okay? For a cause. I know there's a lady that was down here in the Billings women's prison 3.5 years. You know why? Because she never allowed them to board her vessel. She never signed one single piece of paper. Because her nature is not the sigil of the occult. She doesn't bear the symbols of the occult, and she would not agree to their ex-sane system of mass murder and identity theft. This is grand identity theft. Do you see? It's been done to everybody. The Bible says the lion layeth in wait where? At the gate. Remember what the gate looks like?
Yeah.
What's it look like?
The bar.
Bar. Why is that lion laying in wait there? To consume its prey.
Yeah.
And we're the prey. Your children are the prey. And that Roman lion, that Roman giver system, that monster, many-fisted, cannibalistic crusher, destroyer, break down, boards your vessel, runs you down, hands you the black spot, executes you, nails your body on a crucifix symbol of sorts, posts that notice to Rome and to you that they've done it to you, captures your shadow when the soul spirit jumps down by saying, well, you know what, no body ever came to us and objected to this crap, so therefore dissolution has occurred to the body. Dis is the name of Pluto. 6 sets of encyclopedias. D-I-S. Dis, the name of Pluto, who is the god of what? The dryland courts. Hades. Welcome to hell. When you walk into that court system, you've walked into what? The lion's domain. Where? At the gate. Where he lies in wait for his prey. You cross through that gate and that Roman lion is going to eat your lunch. Unless you know how to conquer that Roman lion and turn him around. Okay? That's the deal. So, they lie in wait where? What else does this gate look like to you? Let me write it out here.
Yeah.
A lion lieth in wait for its prey. What does that all sum up? Well, look at this. You ever heard of this one?
Stalking. Stalking.
What's that? The stalking law. You ever heard of that? The stalking law?
Yep.
It's a
That's
actual
what
law.
That's what a wolf does to his prey.
That's right. That's right. That's what they do to you. Like the lion that layeth in wait at the gate. It's the stalking law. You're in a hospital, you young daddies. Okay, bear with me. I'm being analogetical here. Young parents are in the hospital, and they're having their little ones. Their natural birthed, their natural valued little ones, bearing a title of nobility that is their familial last name. It's ancient because it belongs to who? The Ancient of Days. Who made that life? Life wasn't created in the District of Columbia. Life was created in God's realm. He made that invisible thing. You guys have all heard that joke about that professor who's really, really smart, okay? And he's making everything. He can recreate everything. It's just uncanny. So smart, this professor, okay? Well, one day one of his students says, you know, you're so dang smart, I think you probably got what it takes to challenge God. Oh, well, professor's like, you know, maybe I am smart enough to challenge God. You know, ain't nothing he made that I ain't made so far. By gosh, I think I'll challenge God. Well, so the next day happened to be Saturday, so the old puffed up professor's down in his lab, and he's moving stuff around there, and he's beakers and adding this and that, and writing out his formulas and what have you. And this voice behind him says, now I know you guys have all heard this joke, this voice behind him says, howdy. Turns around because it's a sealed lab and there ain't supposed to be nobody in there. Looks around, there's an old white-haired, old long-haired old man standing there. He said, who are you? Well, the old man says, I'm God. You're God? Yes, he says, I'm God. He said, you didn't think I'd look like this, you know. I am the Ancient of Days. Well, the professor said, yeah, I expected somebody in a suit and a tie, you know, maybe a little more educated looking. Well, be that as it may, said God, here I am. He said, you know, he said, I've been watching you for quite a long time. He said, you're really smart. He said, you know, you really got a lot going on upstairs there. He said, and I know that, you know, some of the people around you think that maybe you got what it takes to meet me in a game of wits and creation. Yeah, professor says, I think I can best you. He said, I think I got what it takes. He said, I think I can outdo you. God says, well, he said, that's all right. He said, I'm not offended by your challenge. He said, in fact, I like these kind of games. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, let's go right outside the classroom here. And he said, let's us each one make a man. Okay, we're going to make a human being, a man. And whoever makes the best man wins. All right, you're on, says the professor. So they go outside the laboratory, big old field out there. Well, the professor's a little curious. There's a long-haired old man out there. He's just kind of wandering around. He's watching the butterflies, looking at the flowers. Professor's thinking, boy, what a waste of time this is. This guy's loonier and all. Get out. So he goes over and he starts looking all around. He's analyzing the various components of the minerals in the ground around his feet, and he's thinking on these things and kind of scheming in his mind. And he looks over to check on the old man, and the old man's over there scuffing some dirt together like this with his foot. He's like, what the heck? Old man reaches down, picks up a handful of dirt. He's kind of turning it over in his hands, and he's looking at it. The professor says, well, shoot, I can do anything he can do. He can scuff dirt, I can scuff dirt. So he's scraping up a big pile of dirt like that, and all of a sudden he gets this tap on the shoulder. The professor turns around, and here's the old man standing there with his hands full of dirt, and he looks at the professor and he goes, hey, make your own dirt. Yeah, there's a point to that joke. Okay, it tickles us all. Because I love it when the simple confounds the mighty. But there's a point to this. This bunch that does all this crap, that separates through violence, through the rendition program, our natural God-given divine value, our title and nobility, away from ourselves and transfers us into these fictional names, which, by the way, commerce, which is what you turn out with in the capitals, the commercial John Smith, this is an official cult, and it has a god. What is the name of the god of commerce?
Money.
That's right. And how do they spell that money?
M-O-N-E-Y.
Well, that's a way. I'll throw it up here quick a minute, and you guys will all laugh out loud because you've seen this 100 times.
Mammon. Yeah.
There you go.
Cannot serve God or mammon.
That's right. Not serve. Say that again, Captain.
A person either has to have one God. You cannot serve one or another, or God or mammon.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Did you guys hear that?
Can't serve two
You
masters.
can't serve two masters.
That's right.
Yeah.
What is that? That's a master.
Yeah.
It's a little master. Wears it right around. Right where we brand cattle.
Yeah.
You're right hip. I kid you not. You ever heard the word goyim?
Yep.
Yeah. What's it mean, sir?
Goyim means is something I think the Jewish people used to use to mean a person that's less than they are.
You are correct. The Jewish thing is a very treacherous subject. Families have been absolutely destroyed over that subject, and it requires way deeper inspection than we got time for here tonight. Do it. Do the work. Look into transmigration. Look into the word Zion, Zionist. It's ancient. God hated them 8,000 years ago, and Isaiah the prophet said in chapter 6 that they were of the races of the east, which you, O God, did not hate. Good. Goyim equals white. Why white? Ken. Okay. And you see this? Oh, here, I want to pass this around. Thank you, sir. You guys take them and make sure everybody gets one. Here's where Goyim's going to come into play. I'm looking at a whole room full of animals, beasts, and cattle. Okay, if I was a Zionist. As a member of the principalities that are judges, okay, it's the 9 demonic realms, very specifically. As a member of the 9 demonic realms, I would be looking at all of you as what you're seeing on that paper right there. Somebody read that out loud for me.
Human beings.
Nice and loud.
Human beings.
The whole thing.
From Latin humanus, a lesser/inferior man or woman, defined legally as an animal and or monster as distinct from the ancient pre-Vatican Roman term homo equal man, a key rule of law from the 14th century describing a fundamental legal fiction that is the notion of an inferior man or woman as an animal, as defined by papal decree, and therefore not subject to the laws of free men, but the laws of property.
What? The laws of what?
Property.
The laws of what? You're right. I just want you to say it louder, Captain. Say it loud.
Property.
Who do you belong to?
Truthfully, I
Who do
belong
you
to
belong?
God.
If I take you down and I take your wallet out of your hip pocket, what evidence will I find of who claims to be your owner?
State of Montana.
State of Montana, yeah. The corporate state of Montana.
The system loves proof because proof is what? Remember the stupid
Song
song
and
and
dance.
dance? The entertainment value. What do they not like? Evidence. The facts. Okay? They claim that fraudulent crime is their evidence that you are their property. That because of that coffin that has separated through rendition your natural value away from yourself, and now you appear as a fiction. They've just flipped you over like flipping a house. They just flipped that property and sold it. To who? Who's the buyer? Who bought you?
Somebody else bought the stocks.
That's right. Somebody else bought the stocks. You know what that somebody else is?
World Banks.
Yep.
World Banks. And
IMF
who rules
and
the
World
World
Bank.
Banks? Who rules the World Banks?
Can you make us a copy of that art and get it to us?
4 families.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it was 13
And what do
families.
they appear as?
Hundreds of them. Bilderberg.
That's the name of the hotel they went in. They
Yeah.
Dresden, Germany, or Luxembourg, Germany in 1957. You're right. That's what they claim for one of their names. Illuminati,
No,
Masonic,
they never even
Rothschild.
claim the name Illuminati. That's what other
That's
people
right.
call
The
it.
Bilderberg
right.
group, is
That's
that
right.
part of that?
That's a common phrase that everybody's familiar with. The Bilderberg, the luminaries, a lake crime. Okay,
don't have
we
an
know them
official
as
name.
that. All right. Well, they're all looking at all of
I'll send
us
you some others too. I'll send you a good King copy.
as fictions. We're this to them. What are those? They are called.
Guarantees.
What's that?
Guaranteed the bankruptcy
That's
of
right.
1930.
That's right. That's right. What did I say it took to make that come alive and work between all of us? It took your statement of faith, which appears as your ability, which is your God-given name, and does not make you one bit worth any more than a fella or the woman next to you. Equal in God's law, same value, but a title of nobility because you are a child of the King of Kings. The evidence stands. There's no evidence to the contrary. Now it's on their side and it's in their actual physical DNA. So what is the guarantor? What is he? He's a beast. He's a monster. He's an animal. What do you do with them? What's it say on your document there?
Sacrifice.
To who? Sacrifice to who? Mammon. Who's going to do the sacrificing? It's going to look like a banker, but actually, it is the judicial system, because they regulate the banking.
Basically, all the courts are underneath a bankruptcy policy right now, under bankruptcy. So
That's right, 1933.
That's why
this nation went down, and that was that.
the habeas corpus now is also when you filed in a bankruptcy court.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, that was actually done in 1930. Was it when the World Banks declared 7 countries bankrupt?
Okay. Now, we were discussing something while some of you were on break there a moment. I'm going to go back over this because this is what's being done to you. And Art Winnick is doing it. And the Republican Party is doing it behind your back. And the Democrats, which have been infiltrated, are doing it in your face. Guarantors, forgive me if I get this spelled wrong. Guarantor equals Minotaur. What's a Minotaur?
Full man.
Okay. Goes where? Labyrinth. Labyrinth? You got labyrinths nowadays? Oh, you ever been to court? Tell me that ain't a maze. Ah. Okay. Court. Maze. Okay. Minotaur hires fraud. A slayer equals a lawyer. 2, guide him to guide Minotaur through what? Through the labyrinth. Because you can't get through it by yourself, right? Judge won't hear the common guy. Can't see you. Why can't he see you? Dissolution. Something I need to tie up for you guys. I said that dis, D-I-S, is the name of Pluto, okay? And remember, they've messed with everything. So this equals Pluto, god of Hades.
Is that where the phrase that he who represents himself as a fool for a client?
That's right, because it's one of the assumptions of the court. Hey, you don't know anything about this stuff, and so you're going to commit suicide for him. Who, what, what an easy mark. You would. M-A-R-Q-U-E. Easy paycheck. Okay, Pluto, god of Hades, and over 900 words are the intent. Intent is formed. What's that mean? That means forward direction. I intend to harm Captain John Smith by declaring him to be a Minotaur guarantor, a bull man, whose commercial value is only to be slain by me as a lawyer. That he thought he hired me to speak for him as him in the labyrinth, and actually what happened was behind Captain Smith's back here. I shook his hand and I took the Federal Reserve's money, because it ain't his, like the national debt ain't his or yours. Okay, I took the Federal Reserve's money and I said, yep, I will guide you through the labyrinth. But I lied. Okay, I lied. And deep into court is the system that the lawyers work for and the attorneys. By the way, do you know what a torn means? Torn. A-T means direction, motion, navigation. A-D also means motion, navigation, direction. Torn means, you see the root word? What's the root word in the word
turn or twist?
Say it again?
To turn or twist.
Turn or twist. Fresh. Rendition. To violently rend your natural value away from you and turn you into commercial fiction.
One root word for attorney.
There you go. You have experience. Okay, so deep into the court maze. System. Okay, John Smith was...
Jody has that server.
Your physical body. It's dissolution. Yeah. They all met with dissolution. We can't see any. There's nobody in this room. You've all met with dissolution. Pluto, judges, the dry land court judges, making up the bottom end of the 9 principalities. Dissolution, no body. Okay, he's mass murder, no body. Body is what? What do you have, John?
A body.
Yeah, what is your body made of? What is the sum of it? Mass. That's right, that's why it's mass murder. Why is it mass murder? Did they actually kill you?
Not physically.
No, but what was their intent?
To
was to bring you harm.
Right. Discredit.
Was to harm your shadow. Was to attainder the fictional image of John Smith to lay. Go ahead.
Another way they do that is in the Encyclopedia of Law. Having a lawyer means that you are, how do they put it?
Incompetent and a ward of the state.
Yeah, you're a ward of the state, and a ward of the state is either a child or somebody who's incompetent.
Mentally
That's
Mentally, right.
It proves to the court you are a child of the state.
Right.
That's right.
That's why it's better to represent yourself in court if you know how to do it successfully.
That's right, sir.
May I intervene for a minute? I see it. Sometimes we use the word person here. When you look at person, when you go back to the Latin dictionary, it means a mask, a character, or a representative. Mask like a witch doctor, a character like in somebody in a play, or a representative, a senator, and so forth.
That's right.
Okay. When you look in the American jurisprudence on that,
Yeah.
it states every person is a man, but not every man a person. Mm-hmm. And the prime root of this word goes back, even Blackstone had it, where they stated that person or persona, from where the person comes from, is a creature of civil law, where man is from nature's law.
That's right. Beautiful. Thank you. That is perfect. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
This man knows what he's talking about. He's right on the money. Yeah. All right. So, are you ready, Mr. Miller? Are you ready for me to close up? Okay. I've got one last thing I'm going to show you, and then I'm done.
When you get to a stopping place there.
Okay. This won't take very long here now. This is the sumupance of about 10,000 years of intended evil brought upon the persons of the land. Concluding statement or question. I'm going to write it backwards. 9/10. Tell me what this is going to say.
9/10 of the law. Possession is a law. The law is possession.
Correct.
9/10 of the law. 9/10 of possession is the law.
Is possession.
Pay attention to the spelling. And remember that the word spelling itself denotes witchcraft activity.
Possession is 9/10 of the law.
As does the word cursive, bearing its own curse, because it's still the language based on what? The murder, the genocide of the Etruscan race. That's where it all comes from. Okay. Watch. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for putting this board together for me tonight. All right. You guys see that?
Sure likes to
When
write.
I undermark, when I underline, I'm telling you, you're looking at two different worlds here. Okay? So, my brothers and sisters on the land, what is the other 1/10? What is the other 10th?
Well, if it's not possession, it must be claim.
Real close. Sir, can you tell me? 9/10 of the law? Possession is 9/10 of the law. I do everything backwards because I've learned to find the truth in that manner, so I write it backwards. What is the other 1/10?
The other 10th is the evidence of who actually has it.
That's right. Thank you. Evidence is found through what?
That's
Do what?
Process.
And what is pro?
Yeah.
Process. Which happens. Which occurs when you, the proper you, observe when you object, and beware of ob again, okay? You're talking the word that means hidden. You don't want to be hidden, and you're saying, no, you want to be right bold and give in their faces like bullshit. You're out of order, okay? You're a king. Rule yourself well, but do not entertain things of sin, what they call crime.
Keep it in perspective.
You object, then courts, I'll put a plural because there's 3 systems. Make sure you read the CSTKV papers, okay? Then the courts have, now remember, they don't have to do anything, but logically, they have to investigate. Remember that word means ministry. They got to look into their religion, investigate. You object, of course, have to investigate. Ex post. What'd they do to you? Facto. Facto on the internet will tell you means no fact at all. And what is law? No facts. And is Greek religion. Okay, lex layers. Okay, crucified after. Due process. You cause due process to occur when you tell Rome, the heck with you. I refuse to engage in your fraudulent, sinful activity any further. My name is not your Aaron's golden calf. The symbols of my name, even though based on fraudulent murder of the Etruscans, still, I challenge you to produce the actual natural forms of evidence to the contrary, that I am a king of kings. You have to bring forward the evidence, not the proof. They'll be glad to furnish the proof. You just committed suicide in their system. Evidence, evidence. You own the courtroom, and that's why the judge fled. Okay, now I'm going to quit talking here and let Mr. Miller have it, but we're staying in town tonight, so I'll be hanging around here for a little while, and you guys got questions? Well, I'm here, and I'll do
Do
my
all
best.
judges know this, or are there certain judges that do, and certain judges that'll think if you start talking like that, you're a raving lunatic?
No, they know it.
They're all going to tell you that you're full of bunkum. And
Right.
when they say your stuff is bunkum, you tell them I am not Edward Bunkum. I was not born in 1714, and I did not die in 1763. That was Edward Bunkum.
Oh, okay.
Who was long-winded like me and spoke only for himself.
But no matter what you do, they are going to try to intimidate you. They will try to intimidate you to try to get you to change your mind.
They're the insane.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you say in court against their system. They're going to come back on you and try to intimidate you to get you to concede to them,
Right.
and give your consent.
That's right.
Then, so there now several things that I just kind of like to touch on real quick, and then we'll get to some questions and answers and stuff, and then we're going to kind of close it down. But I want to show you some of the things that we kind of touch on in the meetings. I'd kind of like to get the meetings going again for at least once a month. Okay, if there's enough interest in it to do it, and the more people that we can get to understand this, the better our standing in our world will be. Mm-hmm. And so, the one thing I wanted to point out here real quick is you were talking about persons. Okay, well, like this is Black Law's 6th edition. Okay, and you got persons here, and it starts right here for the definitions of person. Okay, and it goes all the way down here, all of this one, and clear down to here. Just the definition for person.
Why would they need so many definitions for something that seems so simple?
Because they can make it whatever they want to
legally.
make.
That's right.
You know, like the difference between lawful, the difference between lawful and legal. Okay, it's real simple. You know, that's it. You can relate it to like what's 2 and 2. Lawfully, 2 and 2 is 4. Legally, 2 and 2 is anything you want to make it.
That's right.
Okay, so anyways, what Ernie was talking about here, some of the things that he was talking about. I'll go through this real quick. I'm not going to cover all this because we'll be here for 3 or 4 weeks if I do. So
be by your just get it over.
And so I want to I show everybody these. See, these are well, people say they got birth certificate, okay, and we always talk about the fictions. Most people don't know what the fiction really is. Okay, so like when you're born, the hospital fills you out one of these like this, except it does have your footprints on the bottom. When you get a copy of it from Vital Records, they'll take that off Okay, there's, you know, a lot of ideas, you know, people's got a lot of ideas why they do that. They claim that there's some protected information on there.
Identity theft.
Yeah, they say, because of identity theft. But this is what's filled out, okay, and this is a live birth record, okay? And this is what the hospital fills out. The doctor signs it, your parents sign it, and your name is written, you know, in uppercase first letter, lowercase the rest of the letters, okay? This is sent to the government, okay, by the doctor, okay, like you were just told, okay? Then what they do, excuse me, is they make out a birth certificate, okay, and it's got your name on there, all the same information is all on there, okay, the time, the date, and everything that you were born is all on there, but this is not your birth certificate. This is the birth certificate of the legal fiction.
Straw man.
Okay, people call it the straw man. Well, it's your legal name. Okay, that is the fiction, and it's all spelled out in capital letters. The name, the entire name is all capital letters. Okay, now you can get these from vital records from the state that you were born in. Okay, and when you apply for it, you apply for 2 of them. And I don't think I didn't bring the copies of it, but in the bottom of the application, you put request for long form, L-O-N-G, long form, in red letters, in red ink, on the bottom of one of the requests, and you'll get both of them. You'll get the live birth record, which is actually your certificate of live birth, and then the birth certificate of the fictional entity. Now, the reason they need that fictional entity is because when they want to prosecute you, okay, then they can't prosecute live flesh and blood human beings because they are fictional entities.
Yep.
They are, remember, in the hierarchy of man, the government was below man, okay, and they are a fiction because it is a corporation. They are corporations. Right. It's a fictional thing. It's not a live flesh and blood human being that's prosecuting you. They cannot prosecute you as a live flesh and blood. They have to prosecute you as a fiction. And they bring you in there to create a joinder between you're telling them that you are responsible for that fiction. Go ahead, Carol.
That form that you're going to request, you fill that out, do you?
Yeah, you fill it out.
Do you send them back to
vital records? Generally in the capital city.
Montana, or do you send to the state where you were actually born?
Where you were actually born. See, I was born in Wyoming, so I had to send to Cheyenne.
Yeah, well, I was born in Idaho, so.
Yeah, so you'll send to the capital city in Idaho to vital records. And you can find the addresses for those online.
Right.
They have all that. Okay.
Vital records is always in the capital of the state.
It's a state organization.
Of the state of wherever the records are
Department of that state.
Okay, well, they create that. We're not going to get into it too much more than that, but that's some of the information that we cover in the meetings. Okay, and then so if there's any questions or anything on that, you know, we can get into that, you know, forever too. Okay, and now I'll try to get into another one here that probably a lot of you do not know, and this is one of the things that I touch on occasionally, is that. Ernie was saying about your name, that your name is very important. That is your title of nobility. Okay? Well, I'll kind of touch on this a little bit, and then it's going to create a lot of questions with you. But like if you go to a bank, okay, and you say that, well, I went to the bank and I borrowed some money. Okay? Where did the bank get that money?
From the sovereign.
Huh?
From the sovereign.
Right. A lot of people think that the bank got that money from their depositors. It's against their law to loan out the depositors' money. They have to hold that depositor's money. And in this book, it explains a lot of that. See, they get that money when you sign on the dotted line. You created that money.
That's right. Just like with the credit card.
Right. You created it yourself. They gave you the money you created. So then why do you have to pay that money back to them? It's yours.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All you have to do if you ever borrow money, buy a home, car, or whatever, once they get you to sign that note, all you have to do is say, I want to see whether or not if you wrote a rubber check, take that note off, go down to the front cashier, flip it over, endorse the back, and say, cash it. If they don't cash it, you start yelling, you printed me a rubber note. What kind of bullshit is this? They have to pay that right then and there. Then you push your money over and say, my debt's paid.
Right.
That's all you have to do.
Well, see,
You're accepting it for value.
See,
you're accepting it for value.
Yeah, you do an acceptance for value. There is what you're doing.
Right.
You're doing an acceptance for value.
Only the sovereign can create money, the people.
But see, the thing of it is that you don't even have to give them that money back. See, because all that is, and they have you sign a contract. Well, that contract is null and void from the time that it's created, because there is no risk on their part. They put in a computer entry. They did not loan you any money.
I know that.
It's a computer entry, and that money, they deposit that into your account. Generally, what they want you to do is deposit that into your account, because say you borrowed $100,000, then they can go and they can loan $900,000 because you just deposited that money, that $100,000 into your account.
Right.
That gave them what they needed to maintain, according to the Federal Reserve, in order to loan out then another $900,000. And that's how that system
Who
works.
thinks this?
And that's what's
But
in
if
this
you
book.
create money out of your signature, how are those two connected? If you're just creating money out of thin air just on your signature.
You create money with your signature.
Right.
See, because you are a live flesh and blood human being, you can create the money. They are a fictional entity. They cannot create the money.
Okay.
It has to come from you. But then because of the Federal Reserve says they can loan out 9 times that money.
9/10
of what they
9
have,
times of what they have
they're
on
holding.
their records, what they're holding. See?
Principalities, 9.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's one of the things that we talk about there, and then also that another thing is any government contract that you have, your driver's license that you got in your pocket, Social Security card, all of this stuff, anything, any government contract that you signed is void because of non-disclosure. It does not follow contract. It does not follow contract law.
Congress in 1977 passed the law that there's 6 requirements for a complete contract, and one of them is full disclosure.
On
And
both
the other
sides.
one is also that you voluntarily entered into it.
Yeah.
If you prove that they failed on either 2 of them now, they're screwed.
Okay. Now, when you go to court, I think this is the last one. I got one more. Okay. Yeah. Okay. On the birth certificates, what we're showing you here on the birth certificates too. In I don't know what verse it is, but in Deuteronomy, in the Bible, there's one of the verses in there that explains that, and it talks about the what is it? It doesn't say the person within getting stronger. It's in Deuteronomy. I'd have to look it back up again, but it's been in the Bible forever. You know, I mean, well, since the Nicene Council wrote it. You know, so so that isn't something that's just been dreamed up recently. You know, about this fictional entity, and then ever since the bankruptcy, okay, it's been required that everybody has a birth certificate. Okay, so that they can take that and trade it on the world market. See, so they make a lot of bucks off of that.
Ever since when?
Since the bankruptcy in 1930.
1933.
Was it 33? I
Pretty
thought,
sure it was
I thought that
33.
they said it was 1930 because it's 3 years before Hitler.
So prior to that, they didn't have birth certificates?
No, they didn't.
I don't know.
They had. It was a different. What they call them? They didn't call them birth certificates because they still had the fictional entities.
It was just a registration
They
at the
just
county,
wrote the names
but
in the
most
Bible,
of
the
the
family
registration,
Bible.
as far as
Right.
family was concerned, was in the Bible itself or at the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean when there's they take it and it's traded on the?
It's traded because they get anywhere from $600,000 to $1 million on each. Say if you were born. Oh, go ahead, Ernie.
The guy we all hate, Moore, the big fat loudmouth liberal guy that we all detest.
Oh, see.
In some of his work is you got to research your enemy, all of them, and you'll find out that most of them really ain't.
Oh, Michael Moore.
Michael Moore. He's got a deal in there. It's called Pauper's Insurance Program that he uncovered when he was investigating Bush. And under the Pauper's Insurance Program, your name is valued at $3.7 million until you hit 70 years of age, and then it drops $1 million to 2.7. But they take that, multiply that times 3 per perpetuator or an actor of this fraud your entire lifetime. Every actor of this fraud times 3.
And now, see, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about what our so-called president here is saying about people that's 70 years of age or older.
Yep.
About their medical can be refused.
Comfort care.
The what? The what?
Medical can be refused if you're 70 or older.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
See, I mean, and it's because you've already served your useful.
Yep. Your name.
See, and just like, you know, a lot of people don't want to read the Communist Manifestos. Well, the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto is in this book, and when you read them, you'll see that it's right here. You know that this isn't the USA anymore. This is the USSA.
That's right.
And I think also the reason he picked 70 is because, correct me if I'm wrong, in the Bible, a bankruptcy should last 70 years.
Well,
then it gets refinanced
Jubilee,
again?
Jubilee in the Old Covenant is 7 years.
7 years.
And an enemy is to be 7 times 70, which is 460 years?
Yeah.
Am I correct on that? And that was the length
But
of
a Jubilee is
captivity of
50.
Israel.
Jubilee is
There's a
7 times 7
Jubilee
is
at
49.
50,
That's
but it's
Jubilee.
to occur every 7 years.
Okay.
Every 7 years.
So I know that this country goes through bankruptcies every 70 years.
Which is why they used to wait until you were 7 years of age before paperwork came forward on that fictional person, because they were still observing ecclesiastical law. They threw that out the door because they observed nothing. And now they commercialize your name, lying in wait like the lion doth its prey at the hospital door. They commercialize your signature, okay, and sell you. And they buy you.
There is remedies to all of this, and you know we can get into a lot of this at another time, and we do get into a lot of this stuff, different things, you know, during the meetings that we try to get some people put together here to go through. But one of the things that to kind of expand on one of the things that Ernie said, I can't do all of the things that he does.
You can be mad because you can sleep.
I don't know. I take a lot of nights thinking about this stuff. But say when, and I've heard it so many times from people, they say, well, if you don't have to pay income tax, you don't have to pay property tax, you don't have to buy license plates, you don't have to, pay taxes on your car, personal property, or any of that kind of stuff. Well, why are people going to jail because of this?
Because they're afraid of the chain of obedience. They're not afraid of the chain of command, they're afraid of the chain of obedience.
No, they hang themselves. See, they consent. They consent to it. Yep. They consent to it. And what they're walking into here is corporate law.
Yep.
See, when you go into court, what you have here, you have one position here, you have a position here, you have a position here. Okay, because that is the Holy Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Holy Trinity. Okay, and you have a director. Then you have a beneficiary. And then you have a trustee. Okay? And what you have here is the judge. Okay? And over here you have the prosecutor. And what you have here is both of these positions are government. Okay? Okay, then over here you are the trustee.
This is the subject of the trust.
Okay? Okay? The director he's the one that controls everything. Okay? And then he controls it. He tells the trustee what to give to the beneficiary. Okay, and the beneficiary has something in there. He's going to get some kind of a fine or something. Okay, so then they tell you that they will provide an attorney if you can't afford one, or you can hire one. So then you come down here and you get an attorney. Okay, and who is he? He's with a corporation. Okay, the bar association corporation.
That's right.
Okay, and he has to obey those bylaws, which is in the government.
Right.
Kind of like another beneficiary, but in a different
So,
capacity.
go ahead.
Under your CJS, even a court-appointed attorney or your attorney, case law underneath your CJS states that if there's a conflict between the attorney and his client, he is to disregard his client and obey the judge.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Wow.
Because they are an officer of the court.
Yeah.
He is an officer of the court.
Right.
See?
Now, is that why they don't want you to represent yourself?
Right.
Oh, I've studied
Right.
plenty of this.
See, and a lot of the judges now, you have to have a bar licensed attorney.
Yep.
Or else you cannot go into that courtroom. Now, like what I was trying to tell Joel, I pronounce his name Bonnick. Okay, Joel Bonnick and Ernie. I won't even pronounce his last name. But there is another way to do this.
That's right.
And what you can do, see, because you don't take an attorney. Okay, you self-represent.
That's right.
Okay, don't tell me represent yourself. Say I self-represent. Okay. Then when he comes in here, the judge comes in here, and they ask you what your name is. Okay, you tell them what your name is, and you tell them I am the director, the beneficiary, and the sole shareholder of the legal name.
That's right.
Okay, you have just taken over the director and the beneficiary. It makes them the trustee. They are liable.
That's right.
90% of the time, that judge will get up and walk out.
That's right.
Judge is just facilitator.
Yeah. And also you can go in there and you can show them, I am the trustee, I am the director and beneficiary. Right here is my receipt.
That's right.
My live birth record. You are a flesh and blood human being. They cannot prosecute you.
That's right.
Also bring up that that was certified by their co-workers.
That's right, by their fictional entities.
What did you say that, what did you recommend that one say in court?
That you are the director, okay, the beneficiary, and the sole shareholder of the legal name. Because this is your legal name. The birth certificate that they gave you.
That's your legal name, that's your lawful name.
Yeah.
Right.
This one here is your legal name, this is your lawful name.
Yeah.
Okay? The birth certificate of that entity that they sent you that people call the straw man, it's a trust, it's an unincorporated corporation that is created as a fiction in your behalf. And they tell you to put it in a safe place and not to use it for ID, because it is not your ID. It is the ID of your fictional entity.
One of the best ways to learn the separation of legal and lawful is in the attorneys have their own language. It looks like English, but it's actually called legalese.
Right, legalese. Yes.
Terms of art.
The word
Yeah,
color
that's-
of law,
see,
words
what's that?
of art, the phrases color of law and words of art all go back to lawyers' Latin. Lawyers' Latin was the attorneys that started all this play on words, and they were chastised, and most of them were never allowed to practice law. But over the years, it worked to the advantage, especially to a corrupt government, to have these lawyers' Latin agents working for them.
Well,
So, question.
Oh, we've been kicking a lot of this stuff around the Gallup. We've got a really active group over there. We've shut down 15 foreclosures on the courthouse steps, caused some of them to flee for their lives right off of there by notice of enjoiner to major lawsuits and different things.
You've shut down 15 what now?
Foreclosures.
Foreclosures?
Okay.
Stopped them in auction right on the courthouse steps, on film.
All right.
You want to film this stuff. That's your evidence. This is exactly what Mr. Miller has drawn out for you there. we have been filing documents on the court because it's on their heads, using this very principle here under the word principle, which there are 6 definitions of the word principle, P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L.
And they change it. One of the things is just like the different editions of the Black's Law Dictionary. The definitions are changed from one to the next because they change them as they wish, as they need the change. And just like all of the statutes, just like the papers that I handed out here, statutes, codes, all that stuff that's in that United States codes there, they will change those periodically. See, so that you can't keep up with it. Now, everything that they do is hidden right in plain sight.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, right in plain sight. It's on the public record.
But they keep people so distracted that
they
don't
got so much
want
of
them
it,
to
and
look
they
at
change it so often. People don't want to mess with it.
So if you go back and try to get them to look at the earlier edition, do they have to take that definition, or do they say, well, that's not?
It depends on if they want to. I mean, it depends on how much you're going to force it. See, like what I do, like I tell people, if I'm driving down Main Street at 100 miles an hour, okay, and they stop me and they give me a ticket, okay, for driving down Main Street at 100 miles an hour, I didn't break a law, because there is no law that says I can't drive down there. There's a color of law that says that I can't drive down there at 100 miles an hour. I have to drive 35, okay? But I have broken the law if I run over somebody, run into somebody's car, because there's only 3 ways to break a law. I don't think I told them that, did I?
No.
3 ways to break the law. And that's to harm another human being, damage their property, or use fraud or mischief in their contract.
Say the last one again.
Use fraud or mischief in a contract.
Basically, do all you've agreed to do.
Yeah. Right. It's kind of like the government. They never do that. Okay. That's why a government contract is void from the time that it's signed.
Just ask for the Indians.
Yeah. So anyways, where was I before that? What page?
They are solving this change of all that vocabulary. If you watch some of the new legal documents, on the last page or on the back of one of the pages, they'll have a list of words and their definitions that they're using on that document.
Right. They describe. They give you a definition so that you know how to read that document. Okay. Now you can take the same document, the same words, and they got a different set of definitions, and it can mean a totally different thing.
Would it be effective if we ever have to go into court and we ask the judge which version of Black's Law Dictionary would this court accept during this trial?
Totally acceptable. You have to. I mean, that's
seeing that
more
the
of your
definitions
duty.
have changed over time. Which definition does this court accept?
John?
If you can get a Bouvier's Law Dictionary.
Right.
Yeah. Bouvier's Law Dictionary is the only dictionary sanctioned by Congress and paid for to write up.
I have it right here.
On a CD?
That's
on a CD.
The one you were going to bring to me.
It was right there on what? Like 3 hours?
There's
Here.
enough.
Can I get one of those discs?
Okay.
You know what the bad thing is, Ed? There's enough for everybody but you.
Excuse me.
Everybody but me. That's about right. don't get off with all of them.
They stole all of ours.
Hey, give him one quick.
Give me one quick. Give away all of it.
Here, higher bid.
That's where it's headed.
Okay. So
See where he put that.
and there's another way. There's another way that you can also get the upper hand in a courtroom. Okay, and in the courtroom, when say that they're just not listening to you at all, and like a lot of times they do that in the courts, you can declare that a common law court. Submit an affidavit at that time for a change of venue. A change of venue means changing the judge, because most of the time you can get the judge out of there because of bias. He is a government employee. He's getting paid by the government. If the government is charging you with something, he can't sit in judgment of you. Okay, but so you just declare it a common law court, put in a change of venue, and then you recess the court until you can seat a common law jury, according to the Bill of Rights, Article 7.
Most people think a change of venue would be a change of location because they're thinking venue as a building.
No, venue is the judge.
Right.
When you put in a change of venue, that means you're changing the judge. Okay, because due to bias. Because he is a government employee, and if somebody's fining you or whatever, or they got charges against you, that's the state or it's the federal or whatever, then the judge is biased. And then you put in a jury, you can put in a common law jury, and the foreman of the jury can act as the judge. Okay?
Isn't that something? They got the judge, they got the prosecuting attorney, and we got nothing.
So who's going to win?
Yeah. Right.
Two quick points. Venue ties to the word venal, and it means of the mind. Bias, okay? And when you're a registered fiction, what do you suppose that does to the actuality of being a jury member capable of judging ecclesiastical violation? Renders it
void.
Yeah, you look at also in this book has the jury duties, and the judges.
That's the one I was going to bring. Citizens Rule Book. I have that on disc too.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to.
That's right. See, and you missed that one. So
okay, I claim to be not perfect.
Well, you're slipping, all right.
Because see, in the common law, instead of in the corporate law, see, when you go to common law, you can have a jury, and one of those people out of the 12 can say no, and you're out of there. There's so many of us have been hung on non-crimes, see, because we've been in the corporate system.
Right.
See, and so if we can get into a common law system, and that's what we're trying to get put together here, to where everybody has to start supporting each other here.
Yes.
And working against this type of a system, because it is a socialist system.
And speaking of non-crimes, there's a Supreme Court ruling, I forget which one it was, but it said that in order for a crime to exist, there has to be an injured party.
Right, it has to be an injured party. And if there's no injured party, there's no crime. Right. See, so driving down Main Street at 100 miles an hour is not a crime.
Unless
they call it a crime. Now, if you run over somebody, yes, it's a crime.
Yeah.
See, and you are liable. See. Go ahead, Carol.
I was going to say, it used to, I mean, years ago, I followed some guy down in Wyoming, and he went to court a number of times, but it was over taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And but now, they got all of the bases covered. You know, then a lot of those tax rebels would win because they would beat the judge and they would beat the prosecutor.
See, just the same thing that happens here. You know, that when like the livestock division comes in here and they tell me that I can't sell rabbits, eggs, and raw cow's milk out of here. Okay. Well, I tell them, show me the law. And that's what we have to do. Is tell them, show me the law. And they come up with a code, a public servant code, tell them that negligence is equal to fraud, too. Because, see, just like the, how does it go, negligence of the law?
Ignorance of the law
is no excuse. It works on them, too.
Exactly. Yes, it does.
See, they have to know that. Exactly. See, but most of these people, these police officers and all, they're so conditioned to believe that these laws, that these codes and these statutes and stuff are laws when they're the color of law. They're not the law. See, we have three laws.
Most of us take their word.
Right.
Because
we take their word.
We abide by that because we're scared.
We are consenting. We are consenting, and we're creating that joinder. We're creating that joinder between the flesh and blood human being and the fictional entity. See, and they act on the fictional entity. See, just like when they come up and they want the driver's license, they want your driver's license, proof of insurance, and your registration. Then you can tell them, well, I want to see your ID, a business card, and your badge.
There you go.
Yeah, you get that badge number.
Because you have to know who you're talking to.
That's right.
And he said, well, I'm in a uniform. Well, so?
Yeah.
So I can buy one of them.
Yeah.
You know? See, he has to show you that.
Well, okay, something that most people don't understand, under Public Law 101-650 on the federal government at least, the term judge does not apply to an Article III adjudicator, but to an executive administrator officer.
Administrator or minister?
They're a minister, executive minister. They're what you call an administrative law judge.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. When you talk about opening the court, especially like a common law court, okay, I've held a couple of them so far. One in Jordan and one up at the...
Common law courts?
Yes.
Okay.
And the first common law court, the county attorney actually cried because we refused to let him in the courtroom.
Yeah.
The second one, a state district judge threw Jay Brand in prison for contempt of court until he produced his workers' comp papers and everything else, because he hired private contractors to work for him. We held a common law court, held it in the sheriff's training room, and we filed it Monday morning, and Thursday morning he was released from prison, and the county attorneys went ballistic, and the district judge refused to address why that man was released. And what it is when you consider a court,
Did you
a
have
court
a jury?
is where the one man opens that court, his court. Did you not all go a-courting for a wife?
Yeah.
And so forth? When you read, what is it, Amos 5:29, in your Fur Fenton Bible, it says, establish justice in your law courts.
Right.
Right. So the thing
I think we got something backwards here a little bit too, because I think I should be sitting over there and you should be up here.
Good, bad, or indifference, I'm what you call the Montana Freedmen. I'm one of the leaders.
Oh, okay. All right.
So anyway,
okay.
The thing is, it's not bragging or anything. The thing is that what you guys have presented is outstanding. You filled in a lot of gaps. But when you read the Constitution, that Constitution was for two different groups of people. That's why they talk about separation of state and church. Okay? That Constitution, we the people had the right to worship the Almighty Father, Yahweh. Okay? The other people had the choice, same with Elijah. When they said, we wanted the king, Elijah cries to Yahweh and says, they rejected me. He says, no, they rejected me. Go ahead and give them the damn king, so they could be like other nations. So that they made a separation of the people when they settled this country. This is the first free government in the world. And anyway, the Roman Catholic Church always wanted to take possession of the property. Once they realized when they signed the peace treaty in 1789 or 1783 that they made us a free government, it's either 1814 or 1817, I don't recall right now, the Roman Catholic Church under the Holy Alliance with Persia, Russia, and England, they declared war on all free governments. And that war is still going on.
Yeah, it's an unfinished war. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
And that was one other point that I was going to bring up, and then I'm going to kind of shut up here. Is about property. I've said several times that you don't have to pay the property tax. Well, if you consent to it, yes, you do. See, anything you consent to, yes, you have to do it. Okay,
Can you stop consenting?
Yes, you stop consenting. But see, like on properties, you have to bring the land patent forth. And now I'm working with somebody that Ernie knows here on doing that. I just got a hold of him. I've been researching this with a lot of other information, and there is a lot of bogus information out there, and you have to sort it out. See, and so that's why I say don't believe what we're putting out here. Go and look it up for yourself. You know, educate yourself on what it is. Then you'll know, what it is. You know, for sure, and then you'll get past that part of where you just don't believe it. You know, your denial part, because all of us goes through that. Say, oh, that can't happen in here. I've got an older brother that tells me that all the time, and I say, I know I'm on the right track. So, and that's the way that you find out. Like if you go to court, and they start getting real upset with you, you're on the right track.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
Don't let them intimidate you.
Right.
See, I let them intimidate me all the time. Even the police officers out here, I get all jittery and everything. But you can't let them do that.
No.
See, because then they win. Because then they
Oh, yeah.
create that joinder. And they one thing that they ask, or two things they ask for, is your name and your birth date. Okay, you don't know when you were born. Okay, you know what day, but then in a court of law, you can't prove it.
Right. Hearsay.
See, yeah, it's all hearsay evidence. You can't prove when you were born, so you're totally within your rights to say, I don't know when I was born. Then they start acting like you're an idiot and everything, and they make an idiot out of themselves, acting like you're an idiot. So, but see, you know that when you're on the right track is when they're really getting upset at you.
Yeah.
See, and then you just stand there and smile.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We just brought Thor's hammer to bear on Brian Adams, the honorable judge in Gallatin County, through a lady who was held at gunpoint for 4 hours just outside of Churchill on a nothing deal the other night. Mm-hmm. Thor's hammer is in your terms of art deal, and it is de jure sanguinis coronae. That is the right of crowns due to right of blood.
Brought that up.
Yeah, it is the summuffins, and it is the only remedy that the court has left unto itself. That is the sole forgiveness that they can obtain for sinning against your title of nobility.
Did you write that up here?
No, I didn't. Would you like me to? Yes, sir. As long as I don't have to write my last name.
You might have to write your last name.
I don't think I can keep past damn one.
An extension on the board.
How's that scripture go? For lack of knowledge, my people perish.
My people perish for lack of knowledge. I think
And
it's
that's pretty much what we do here. Is just we put out all this knowledge, but you
Yeah.
guys are actually educating yourselves
Right.
with this
Form your own
information.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I thank you, Mr. Miller.
You betcha.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
sir.
been great.
Thanks to all of you guys.
Can you
Yes,
write that?
I will write that out. Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
So I have trouble even spelling it.
I had all kinds of Greek when I was in high school. In Latin, I had 278 of them stupid Greek gods, you know, and I threw them all in the trash can. And 50 years later, they're haunting me.
I've had wives that thought I
Those
was
who
Greek
forget the
god.
passage again to repeat it.
You burned over
Those who forget the passage again to repeat it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it is your sanguinis coronae. Looks like this. It is in the document terms of legal control / power. Okay? And it is, we take this. And I will tell you that Rome has freaked when we laid this one on them. They immediately, right, crowns, this would be the simple, due to royal, which means natural. Remember that exceeds fiction. Blood. You want to make them evidence that you're not dirt. They spend all their time trying to separate themselves away from the land so that they can appear as Greek gods over man. Okay? But the ones that are of the soil, that's where the power lies. And that is what it appears as right there. And it establishes you, as Mr. Miller just drew out here. Okay, it establishes you as the principal, which means first in time. In other words, without Mr. Miller actually being birthed upon the land, they had no mass substance with which to imagine a fictional Mr. Miller. He is first in time, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, and Mr. Miller came first. Then came the fictional image of him. Okay? So principle, you want to make sure you make that clear, because there's many definitions for principle, and if you don't do your homework good enough, they'll be happy to let you be the principal, because that means you're the one who just guaranteed to pay the debt. You're going to pay the bill to the court. So that's the deal, and the principal is always up here at the top of the heap. He's the one in charge of everything that's going on. You take that little symbol right there, and you run a curve through it like this, and now what do you have? Sextant.
Yeah.
Sextant. So the spirit glass in it. For what? Navigation. Admiralty, maritime law. Pay attention to those. Admira, Mary. Myra, Mary. 2 letters difference. And both of them are astrology. Sweet God. You don't work. What a trip.
Well, astrology. Oh no, I'm thinking astronomy. I think astronomy is part of quadrivium.
Well,
because there's a difference between astrology and astronomy.
Yeah, exactly. Big difference. Astrology leads you into alchemy, and then you're back to Regulus, the philosopher's stone,
And astronomy is the study of space and time.
Exactly. You get into quantum dimensions, quantum physics on that.
The art and science of critical thinking is comprised of the 5-4-3, which is the Pythagoras triangle.
Yes.
5 being the senses, 3 being the trivium, which is grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and 4 is the quadrivium, which is math, number in itself, geometry, number in space, music, number in time, and astronomy, number in space and time.
Perfect. That's the diatomical scale, the musical scale that the Earth actually emits as it orbits while it's on the plane, as it spins, a diatomical scale. This is why people sometimes get sick without anything around them, because the Earth emits subfrequential tones that your body knows is there, but you don't, because you can't hear it, but your body is picking it up, okay? And it affects your entire being, your person, your bed. So, and that all figures into it, and when you're in tune with the things that are under ecclesiastical law, you are in harmony, and not the harmony of the Masonic law.
Right, not the H-A-R-M. Harmony.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, also another website you could probably put up there would be creditorsincommerce.com.
Okay.
Because that also ties in with what you're saying about ships on the Sea of Commerce. And
I'm going to draw some stuff out for you guys, but we're dismissed. So if you want to keep the camera going, ma'am, this will really interest what's on the other side of the camera. Okay, tell me your website again.
Creditorsincommerce.com. Creditors as plural. That basically is a website that shows you how to live within their system by using their own rules to your advantage.
Have any meetings down where you are?
Okay, I want to show you what happened to Joel Bonnier a little bit. Equals, let's see, just like everything about this Myra.
They're mostly in the south.
Equals direction. That's what it was, direction. Motion.
There's 17 in Oregon.
You know, it's forward, yes, it's the negative power,
And
the
6.
forces and negatives,
Myra.
and there happens to be the negative one, and they have a plan.
Wonderful.
So that's when they're faced with truth.
Yep, exactly. Yep, they run on it. They can't handle it. It's because light and darkness have no fellowship. And you are light. Yes, you ain't a kid. That's right. Yeah. Ever since the beginning. Oh, maybe even before. Yeah.
7,600
Stay neutral.
Yep.
Is there a way I can contact you by email or something like that?
Everything except
Yep. Yep. And then the children disobeyed and intermarried anyway, and really fouled everything all up again.
I sent him that back
Nobody
there.
would just honor him. No, let them do what they want to do. And he has.
Equals.
What's your name again? Marty Neville. What is yours?
Yes, of course. One knew this would be way too long for her, bless her heart. And there's so much here that you're not feeling really well. It's not fun.
I'll tell you what, just that one. Gary.
My phone number there too.
Well, we didn't know about it.
See, that's the same.
Do you live in the Billings area? Yes, that's my amateur radio call sign. I'm involved in ham radio. Yeah. KD7ONE@gmail.com.
Richie, where were you? North Richie. North Richie.
Well, that part I don't care about, but how we're going to refinance to live. That's just stop.
Mud crop, I think.
I don't see how we can get out of it.
Is that a pumple?
So you go with what you know.
Yep.
Shorty was your grandfather?
Do the best you can.
Why, sure, absolutely.
But at least you know how to run.
Okay, I know.
Yes.
I know.
With long rest.
I went to
Right on. See, now you know. You can turn a lot of this around, and there are things that we don't sign. We just don't sign any contract, join anything where we have to sign our name. Don't join. We have to join the people. We don't join. We just don't sign. Everything is right back into the corporate. Everything's looked up there. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Is he still living?
Yeah.
Is he still out there?
A lot of great positions that I've seen. I'm finding myself hooked into Steve Coyle because of the updated information.
Does he live out of the place?
I'm bringing up
well, north of Langley, so it's might be about maybe kind of straight south and just south
going to take care of those people.
North of Langley, doing the bolts and sorts. Wise. Right up on that Yellowstone.
Well, we're in for a big one.
Well,
and we have a responsibility.
we have it all planned. Hey,
to stand.
God bless these guys. And to get
Winter them there.
Oh, yeah.
Big this is what happened to Joe Pontiac. Finish this up. The court had the judge appeared to hold. The fire captain had appeared as the justice of the peace. Her court was a privateer. She was a soldier of fortune, having a private contract with the ends of the court, okay, which is the face of Rome. It's the nobility of Rome. She had a private contract to commit acts of warfare upon the vessel known as the Joel Bunyan. Okay? To run him down, to take him, to seize him, to board him in acts of piracy at sea. There are 3 seas. Okay, there is on, sea, and that's of humanity. And that, of course, is going to be spelled in all capital fiction, because what? It's only fiction, right? Okay. In C, where there's C, and that means dissolution. And at C, which means for commerce. Okay, see those? On sea, in sea, at sea. Now here comes the high seas. Seas. Say, S. Okay, B, you guys have got this in your documents. Say SKB. Law trust. Go like this.
Jared and Felicia.
Okay. Okay. Under a word called gamere, equals sum, say equals 6. Okay. There are 3. 15, 40. Ecclesiastical Noahide Talmudic. Talmudic. 1666. Admiralty. Mary, and remember that Mary equals Mars, god of war. Mary times. What did the kings do in the spring of the year? Went out to war. And 1933, commercial, laws of commerce. Commerce, okay? So, what do you have? Say, 6. Mark of the Beast finalized in Man's Law 1933. I should hold that teaching board of mine up here, man, when you've got this to your satisfaction, and let you view both sides of that, because there's so much more information on there, and your camera would capture it, and I don't have to talk. I'll give you a break for me. I'll slip by here. Where would you like me to stand, ma'am?
Yeah, let's see. That's. It's pretty hard to pick that all up very plain.
All right, do I need to move up?
Well. Yeah, if I bring it in further, I can't get it all on there.
All right. That's all right.
Yeah.
And side. People following they'll pick it up through the course of necessary time.
So does it go side to side, or does it go down and...
kind of goes down, some of it side to side.
Okay, well, I'll just do it up and down.
Yeah, just give it your best shot. It's all right. Along with not being an expert, I'm not an artist.
So we're about halfway between the Roundup Road.
That last part is kind of...
This is an espresso bar. I don't have
Okay.
In fact, this is a little bigger for the most part of the bag.
Yeah, I kind of think I was on message because until all the ones, and then St. Vincent's on the
language away from them.
Or to confront our adversaries
Okay.
Okay. You are afraid of me.
Yeah.
Finish right now, my
Now,
address.
what is your understanding? You know, they say this is a Judeo-Christian nation.
Be very careful.
Yeah. What is? I mean, what does that mean?
Total opposites. Cannot be. The two cannot ever exist. Darkness hath no fellowship with light.
Exactly. There was a guy that came and spoke, and he was a Christian guy from Idaho, but he spoke for about an hour, but he kept calling it a Judeo-Christian, and I went over to him and I said, look, that is not possible. Yeah, I said, that's not possible. You're either Christian or Jewish. That's
And he said the Judeo had to do with like the Ten Commandment part of it and stuff, but
There are those that are claiming to be involved in the Messianic Christian movement where they observe the Messiah and things like that. And this is really a touchy subject, and I'm not an expert on it. All right, let's be clear.
Well,
the problem is that they end up heaping the laws of the Old Covenant onto themselves to such a degree that the law of grace which came forward in the New Covenant is nullified. So that at the sum of it, the Hortus conclusus of that subject, what they have for the forfeits of their name is only law. Only the law that killed and had no element, no balance of grace in it, no room for forgiveness. Very lethal ground, very dangerous, and there are many good people stepping into it. Very dangerous. Be very careful.
so it should never be used.
You better search that contract out to the bottom of the rabbit hole, find the rabbit, and leave your footprints on him before you agree to any of that work.
Right.
Please be very careful.
Yeah, the founding fathers, Jefferson, Washington, Benjamin Franklin, they wanted to remove, not allow the Jews. They were going to put it in the Constitution, but they couldn't. They wouldn't let them to remove the Jews from the United States of America and to never have any of them here. Period.
The funny part about them boys is that they are what's called Zionists, which is not Hebraic.
Right.
If you look into the Old Covenant history and you go to the time of King David, you will find that the word Zion is used 53 times in the Old Covenant, 32 times in the New Covenant. Never, hear me, not one time is God's children, the Hebrews, we of the Christian adoption into it, never, ever are we ever aligned with they of the Zionist mentality and the Zionist claims. The Zionists were very arrogant and bold and haughty in spirit, and they always bragged, no man can remove our star from its place. Where is it at to this day? Where do you see this at? It's on the flag of Israel, which is ruled by what? Not the Hebrews. The Hebrews are still scattered all over the earth. What's ruling Israel? It is they of this symbol right here that come forward in the year of 959 BC, holding their first mystery, first school of the Eastern Mysteries beneath the floor of Temple Solomon.
Names and phone numbers to notify for the next meeting.
Sure. Yep, communications. You guys all got to get to know each other. But that's the deal. Okay? Don't go there. Death awaits. The lion is waiting at the gate. Isaiah had grown angry with the house of Jacob Israel and cast them off of his name. Just like that, he laid out a bill of attainder, of which there were 7 tainders, and the word tainder means a charge of sinful behavior, which is why the Freemasons in 1789, 1787 said no bill of attainder. No charges of sinful behavior can be laid on us because we know what we're going to do, and therefore we're opting out of guilt. Okay? David was, God had laid out this list of attainders against him, which there are 7 in nature. It's all about human slavery. The first recorded transaction that I have been able to find so far occurs in Genesis chapter 2, I believe it is, when the Nephilim see the daughters of Adam in the field and desire them. But it's not written to where they took them by force. It wasn't a rendition program. It is written with the knowledge that they made an official contract. They went to the fathers of those daughters and they said, we want your daughters, we want to buy them from you, we want to trade you out of them. And the fathers, Mensria, in mind and now in hand, said, great, what's that girl of mine worth to you? And the miners, which were the Nephilim, said, well, we've got caves full and tons of gold, minerals, sapphires, elements, diamonds, you name it. We've got all this stuff because it's all listed out what they had for mineral supplies right before that. We will trade you that for your daughters. And the sons of Adam said, sold. That's the first transaction of commercial slavery. And it is brought up against them by God in Isaiah chapter 6, when God says, you guys have set of Israel has set itself up to be a perpetual raiding party on its brothers as tribes, to seize their daughters, to continue transacting, selling these girls to the Nephilim for the purpose of the corruption of blood, which is written in here under the Freemasons' definition of treason. But attainder shall not work corruption of blood. They addressed it. They know exactly their history, where they come from. They come right out of the Nephilim of Genesis 2, way back then. They know. Okay? There was a repeater along the line, and it comes in the appearance of Abraham and who? Hagar. Abraham had a wife. Her name was Sarah. Sarah had a handmaid. Her name was Hagar. Sarah scoffed in herself when God made a deal with her, saying, I made you have a child. She laughed. I'm too old. Never happened. Told Abraham. Abraham went, wow, that takes some doing, but you know what? I'm game to go. But Sarah scoffed. Okay? And because of that, when it came up between her and Abraham, she said, are you kidding me? There's no way. I'm shoving 100 years of age. I ain't going to have no dadgum children. I'll tell you what, you see my handmaiden over here? Oh, Hagar? Well, you get it on with her, and her child will be born in the ecclesiastical tradition. I will sit on a stone or a stool like a land baron, very specifically. I will hold my arms exactly in this position. You will cause Hagar at the instant of the delivery to be placed backside, well, actually forwards facing Sarah, so that the child would be delivered right onto Sarah's lap. This was the way of making an adoption. It was a blood adoption because the blood was then on the surrogate mother. Okay? But is that what God said?
No.
God said, I'll cause you to have a son. And Sarah breached the contract. And Abraham went along with it. Now what comes out of that lineage? The wild man tribe. Okay? You have a corrupt bloodline. It started up here, it came down here, a repeater of it, it picked up strength like a phone signal going down power lines, picks up, keeps that signal going so you can actually hear each other miles apart. And it kept that communication of corrupted blood going all the way down to this very night.
Who's that?
That is their symbol. Solomon grew up watching his father, King David, put him to death with the edge of the sword. He actually conquered him. God had told Isaiah, he said, you tell them people this is what I said. You take up the star of your God, Remphan, Moloch, and Baal. Baal, Peor. Tell them to pick it up. Go ahead. They're not mine anyway, and they're cursed. Never do they have anything to do with me. And this is the concludus, the hortus conclusus of that. Isaiah said, they are of the races of the east, this evil little bunch of people. They're of the races of the east, which you, O God, did not create. They're not Hebraic. They use the Judaic Jew, they use the phases, their slang word Jew for their race. They hide behind it. They hide behind it. And behind the Hebrews, the Zionists manipulate like an evil puppet master all the world banking strings, the military strings, the cultural strings. They commit genocide. They commit all manner of sin against humanity. And who gets the blame for it? Because people have lack of knowledge. The Jews catch it in the neck, which means it's the Hebrews, when actually it's the Zionists who's doing it. And they've got the Jews, the Judaic bunch, caught between the rock and the hard spot, and they're getting pounded by people who have no proper knowledge. And Semite has nothing to do with it. Semite is a white tribe, okay? Now, not in the Jewish, it doesn't have anything to do with it, but in the terms of legal control / power, you're going to find a phrase called doli incapax. Doli incapax is also known as dolus incapax, dolus encephalus. It means tall, white-skinned, slender, large nose, blue-eyed, and not a wide forehead, but a narrow span between the eyes. And they who claim dolus incapax, doli incapax, is they of the judicial system who are operated under this mark. This is their mark. They're operating under it. That means, due to our Aryan bloodlines, we are incapable of sin. Now you know why they wrote in there no bill of attainder. It's not possible. We cannot sin. It's impossible. We can do whatever we want, and because we're gods of the Aryan bloodline, we can do no sin.
Who's we?
They of the doli incapax, the Zionists.
Oh, they think they can.
That's their claim. They make it work upon your head if you don't know about it. It's there. I've given it to your hands this night. You guys know all of this stuff. You're carrying it home with you. I didn't set out to fail.
99% of the Zionists are Khazars. That's Turk-Mongolian.
Ashkenazis. That's right. Ashkenazis.
Yeah.
They're the red tribes of Russia. They claim the doli incapax. That's them. They are the ones who exterminated 77 million persons throughout World War II. It was the Red Plague, the Red Flood of blood that went across there, was paying back the Russian Tsar for his non-compliance in World War I. Took the whole family.
The Trotskyites?
Yes, yes. But that is the bunch. And they are of the races of the East, which Isaiah said, you, O God, did not create. Do the work and you'll find it out.
Well, they're the ones that control our government here.
That's right, through ends of court. You have the information.
Their bloodline is in control here.
They claim title of nobility.
when we were in there.
But they're not actual. They are the fraud of the Nephilim descent.
Well, there's a woman judge.
That's why they brought in Kugenauer.
Did you know? Let me tell you something. I've got a niece that has worked for the Bozeman Deaconess for 17 years.
They did.
For what?
For the Bozeman Deaconess Hospital
Oh,
for
yeah.
17 years.
He went ballistic. He didn't know.
With the Obama health care thing coming forward, she's seeking to do something different.
Something different, yeah.
Yeah. So she's been taking online courses to get herself certified to become a health advocate, a health counselor. So when we go in, she can say, well, if I was you, I'd do this, I'd do that, whatever. Okay. All right. Well, I was at her house on a Sunday afternoon, about 3 months ago, and she was showing her Uncle Ernie what she's studying. You know, because it's a big deal. It's quite an accomplishment for Garner. She's married to a blind guy and has quite a big load. The blind guy's very smart, but still she carries a big load. So she was very proud to show me what she's studying and learning, because you've got to have it going on up here to get it all. It takes time. And all of a sudden, on her computer screen, it pops up these words. Says, Obama health care bill, Jewish utopia, 7 years of eternal rest.
What did it say?
It said Jewish utopia, 7 years of eternal rest, Jubilee. Came right up on the computer screen in the crap she's studying. And she said, what the heck is that? And I said, whoa! That ties right into everything I've been studying. Believe you me, I didn't expect to see this right in the middle of the health care bill, and there it is. Because it's not the Hebrews. The Hebrews have soul and have compassion. This bunch, no soul, no compassion. They want the world's people gone. You will find another Hebraic phrase that will come forward because they use everything in the Hebrew, so they got something to hide behind. That phrase is Tikkun Olam, TikkanOlam, and it means the reconstructing of the earth after the global cleansing. That's where the health care bill is headed.
What do we do? You know, I'm self-employed. What do we do about this?
Do you have a card, business card?
Your health, Bill, your health. Do it as honorable as you can.
No, what do we do about this Obama health care thing?
Something you can do. See that lady standing right back there? That's my mom. She used to be in a wheelchair with Parkinson's.
Okay.
The doctors told her that she would die at 47 years of age, and I'll let her tell you her age. So, you know. Okay. Now, Mom, it's your turn, because this is some of what we, the people, can do.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for honoring me with your time, sir.
Well, I'm doing a lot of natural things. But, yeah, I'm really into that. But, I mean, what I'm saying is we're forced to have to pay. My accountant told me, I said, what am I going to do? Well, here's what. My wife has just finished up going through cancer. She just got a clean bill of health for the third time. I pay $750 a month for insurance for her.